What's good, y'all? The Toronto Raptors conclude their home close game. They close out at home against the Charlotte Hornets. You would not be surprised if you did not. You would be forgiven if you didn't recognize a lot of players on the Charlotte Hornets side. They started Tijon Salon, their rookie pick, and the Raptors, for their part, rested a lot of players. I mean, yeah, per the box score, RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and Scottie Barnes all played, but they barely played. Scottie Barnes ultimately, uh, anyone catch Gifted video? What an eye roller. Yeah, I don't care. All right. So basically, the Toronto Raptors, the magic number is 1, and the San Antonio Spurs are currently down 9 on the road against Golden State Warriors, and the magic number will remain 1. So at this point, the Toronto Raptors have exactly one chance remaining to avoid catastrophe, and that chance is Friday. Save your season on Friday against the Dallas Mavericks. Roll over, die, lose that game, swallow your pride, and there ain't nothing to it. But it's complicated. It's complicated. Tanking is complicated. You want to know why I know tanking is complicated? This is why I know tanking is complicated. The Utah Jazz did everything humanly possible to try and lose this game, and yet they are up 7 with 17 seconds to go in overtime against the Portland Trailblazers. This is how you know that tanking is complicated. And sometimes you put players in the game like a Bryce Sensabaugh or whoever the hell went off in this game, and it just doesn't go your way. Okay. Kyle Filipowski has 30 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to call a timeout and be like, hey, Kyle, we need you to stop playing so hard. Is that what you're going to do? It's not going to work. Okay. So this is look, this season has been probably the most egregious example of tanking I have ever witnessed in my entire life. I've never seen it this bad. I've never seen it this widespread. I've never seen it this obvious. And if you've been listening to me, you know that the Toronto Raptors have been tanking since the very start. They've been doing things to develop, quote unquote, but they've been throwing these games late. They've been, drawing up plays that are designed basically to not work in order to sort of stealth tank. And whereas it was a stealth tank earlier on, it's become more of a blatant tank later. And I guess my question as I attended the game tonight with Vince, shout outs to Vince, we watched this game. We were a little bit late getting in. We got in, when the score was like 6-4 or something like that because of subway delays. Thank you very much, Toronto. And as we're watching this game, you're seeing RJ out there, you're seeing Scottie out there, and you're not seeing LaMelo, and you're not seeing Bridges, and you're not seeing Mark Williams. And to what extent are you willing to do this, right? You've gone as far as pulling your starters with 8 minutes to go. You've gone as far as resting Emmanuel Quickley, a perfectly healthy Emmanuel Quickley. You've gone as far as shutting down Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram with injuries for the season. You've gone that far. You've gone as far as to start a season out with 5 rookies on your roster. You've gone as far as trading away perfectly serviceable veterans like Davion Mitchell, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown. You've gone as far as shutting down a pending free agent in Chris Boucher. Why stop there? That's all I have to ask. Why stop there? Why is that the furthest you're willing to go? I was sitting there with Vince as we were basically rooting for the Hornets to pull together some sort of miracle Yusuf Nurkic 50 piece. It was not to be. It was not to be. We were like pretty much sitting there praying that every single Raptor shot didn't go in, and they just kept going in. And does that make us terrible fans? No, that doesn't make us terrible fans. It makes us good fans because we're literally sitting there and we're just hoping that we don't have to sit there with this nauseating tension in our throat as the Raptors go into Dallas with one shot to save their entire season. Why am I saying save your entire season? Because the Spurs don't plan to win again. They don't plan to win another game. And the problem for the Raptors is you're both going to end up with a 32-50 record, at which point you are going to repeat the coin toss Ross crap. What happened with coin toss Ross was so interesting. I really wanted Harrison Barnes, man. I really did. Watching him go 7th is one of those moments in draft history that will haunt me forever. Now, granted, I thought Harrison was going to be a lot better. He's playing tonight. He's still playing in the league. He won a championship. He is like significantly better than Terrence Ross. Harrison Barnes was Brian Colangelo's guy, and you missed on him by one pick. What's at stake right now for the Raptors is really that one slot. Now, you'll be happy to know that the gap in getting Cooper Flag between 7 and 8 isn't huge. But what if the unthinkable happens and a couple of teams in that, 9, 10, 11 range move up? You just wasted an entire season and you'll end up with the 10th pick in this draft. Kind of reminds me of wasting an entire season trying to make the play-in and ending up with the 13th pick 2 years ago. Kind of reminds me of wasting an entire season last year and ending up with no pick thanks to the Jakob Poeltl trade. If you tell me that you basically didn't make the playoffs for 3 freaking years and the only thing you have to show for it is a 13th pick and a 10th pick, I'm going to scream, because you should have done better with that situation. Now, it's not all lost, and we'll talk about, what this roster looks like going forward. We'll talk about this game a little bit. We'll talk about the takeaways, and we'll definitely talk about right now the positive. And I want to keep this positive because we've been ebbing and flowing in a very positive direction on this channel, and I don't want to introduce a very bearish, sentiment in the final 3 games, because obviously we're looking forward to the draft. We're looking forward to the Raptors doing something good in this draft. We're looking forward to Brandon Ingram coming back healthy next year. We're very, very cognizant of the beautiful vibes on this team and everything good that's been happening for this team pretty much the entire year. We're all very happy about that. But I'll say something. There is something really huge on the line here. You're not that far off. You're not that far off. And that pick being 7 and you get the player you want versus that pick being 8 and you miss on the player you want, and that could haunt you. And it was right in your control. And you decided to become one of the best defenses in the league when you were already out of it, when you'd already traded away any reinforcements that could have helped you make a playoff run. You just shut down Brandon Ingram for the season after you're already, eliminated, and you're still putting out RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, and you're still playing these starters. It's like, how difficult would it be to tank against the Charlotte Hornets? Not very easy. I'll agree with that. But if you knew that nothing you were planning to do tonight was going to result in a loss, and you're going to blow this team out by 30, why not at least give the fans a full game of RJ Barrett? Why not give the fans a full game of Jakob Poeltl? What difference does it make if you blow this team out by 30 on a Jonathan Mogbo triple-double and AJ Lawson and Jared Rhoden and Cole Swider versus just play your guys? At the very least, everyone around the league who's currently throwing the Raptors in the same boat as the Utah Jazz for egregious tanking can't point the finger at you for one day, and they can just be like, hey, at least they're playing their guys. Worse yet, it was a home game, and not a super entertaining one at that. There was a lot of lowlights. There was a lot of breakaways that didn't result in anything. There wasn't a huge performance, and I'm sitting there. Look, I said it to Vince. Some segment of this fan base here came to watch RJ Barrett. There's got to be an Emmanuel Quickley super fan section in there. You barely got to see them tonight. Why? What about a Chris Boucher? Is the Cole Swider audition so important to you that you're just willing to look over the fact that Chris Boucher has been a staple of this team for like 7 years and is a consistent fan favorite? Does it not behoove you? Does it not occur to you? Maybe just play this guy. It's the final game of his season. It might be his final game as a Raptor. Why not just play him? Unless he's injured and we don't know about it. What loss is there? It's a 30-point blowout and you have a perfectly healthy Chris Boucher just sitting on the bench. Perfectly healthy. What about Ochai Agbaji, Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, right? Apparently Jacoby Walter's a little bit injured. Jamal Shed, injury management or like a rest? He's a rookie. My point is, I hate half-assing anything, okay? If it were up to me, and I was saying this to Vince during the game, If it was up to me, I'm literally picking one of two lanes and I'm going with it. Either I'm dressing everybody and I'm blowing this team up by 100 and making NBA history. I'm literally telling the team before the game, guys, we're going to win this game no matter what we do. So let's win it in a way that makes headlines. Let's go out there and beat this team by like 85 points. Let's do that. Or I'm going the other way, fully the other way. And I'm going to friggin' start Cole Swider at point guard. AJ Lawson and, Jared Roden will be given special instructions to only take half court shots. I'm going to suffer the fine. I'm going to make that magic number happen. And you know what? At least I'm going to give the fans something they've never seen before. Here's something that happened today, and probably the most exciting thing in this game, apart from the Jonathan Mogbo triple-double. There was a fan at halftime who made he made a half court shot. Vince and I were sitting there. We're in line to get a beer, and we looked over at the screen, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize they do that." And then he took the shot, and he's like, "There's no way that's going in." And then it went in, and we're like, "Oh man, we just missed the highlight of the game." Honestly, if I'm coaching this team right now, Cole Swider is taking like 35 3-pointers from like half court. Maybe not even Cole Swider, maybe Jonathan Mogbo. Jonathan Mogbo, you wanna get your 3-point attempts up? All right, let's do this, man. Let's do this. Jamal Shed, not a strong 3-point shooter. You're taking logo threes the entire damn game. Look, man, if the Minnesota Timberwolves had Mark Madsen, who is not a 3-point shooter, take 7 threes in overtime to tank properly, if they did that, okay, if the Utah Jazz, who just accidentally stumbled into a win that probably just, shocks the senses against not a healthy Portland team, but like a Portland team that played actual NBA players like Shaedon Sharpe and Tamani Kamara and, Donovan Clingan, and a Portland team that's been relatively competitive. I don't know how the Utah Jazz won that game. Did they just cost themselves the number one, or they might own the tiebreaker? I was thinking about that. I'm like, did Utah just lose the best odds at Cooper Flag for nothing? My point is, if you're gonna do it, do it. If you're not gonna do it, don't do it. Don't half measure this, man. Don't start RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley. You played them for 14 minutes apiece. They took a combined 17 shots, and it was all in the first half. And this was not a blowout at halftime, just so we're clear. This was 25-23 at the first quarter, okay? At some point in the third quarter, the Raptors had 35 points on the board, and there was like 5 minutes left to halftime. And then there was like a flurry of shots, and then, of course, the second half starts, and, RJ and IQ are shut down for the game. So it's like, okay, you just hurt their numbers for no reason whatsoever. If you're looking to shop them, if you're looking to shop either one of them this offseason, this game did not help their numbers at all. Emmanuel Quickley finished the game with 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. That counts towards his averages. And there is probably at least one general manager out there who don't care about your per 75 and your per 100 and your per 36 minutes. He just like, 8 points, bum. RJ Barrett shot 3 for 7 from 3. Yeah. We can talk about the positive. The positive was Jonathan Mogbo, and the positive for the second straight game is Jonathan Mogbo. Jonathan Mogbo balled out. He has a triple-double, and I noticed it before. I feel like I noticed it before anybody else in the arena. I was looking up at the scoreboard a lot, and I, saw it, and I was just like, either that's a typo because I didn't have my phone out, and I didn't want to have my phone out, or Jonathan Mogbo just notched his first triple-double. And shortly after, I sort of just gathered what that final rebound meant for him. You noticed like an eruption of cheers. Now, there was a lot of cheers throughout the crowd because they're doing the fan giveaways and they're throwing t-shirts at everybody and everyone's losing their minds. But the coolest thing was that it was the Raptors bench that I'd heard. It wasn't sitting very close. So I heard the Raptors bench from up there, and they're just going crazy. And they're cheering him on because they all registered it. And I guess one person registered and they told everybody else. And he goes to the bench and he got mobbed. When he went to the bench. People are like gassing him up. They're so excited for him. He obviously got the chain tonight. That was great. That was a really feel good moment. Clearly, playing small ball center is to his strengths right now. He is such a better player than Tijan Salon, or pretty much most of the players that the Hornets played tonight. He is so much better. his feel for the game, even if his handle's a little bit loose. Like, there's an actual world in which Jonathan Mogbo turns into, like, a real NBA player, like a real one. Like, permanent rotation, would be a bench big for every single team in the league type of, like, there's a world in which we're looking up 2 years from now, and we're talking about him the way the Pelicans talk about Herb Jones, or, the Blazers talk about Tamani Kamara, who was also, an older guy picked in the second round. Again, the narrative, right? The narrative around Jonathan Mogbo, a little bit of an afterthought. Some people are just still gassed up about Kyle Filipowski. I'm sure those people who watched Kyle Filipowski have 30 points and 18 rebounds tonight probably aren't going to move off that point anytime soon. But Jonathan Mogbo fulfills an actual role on a good team. He can do that. I'm not saying right now he'd be a rotation player on any good team. I'm saying the archetype is a very valuable one. If the three-point shot continues to progress, and tonight he took 5 threes, which is a positive sign. He made 1, which is to be expected. He had 4 turnovers. He was plus 20, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 3 steals. He was awesome. He was awesome. And I don't know about OG, man. I don't know about OG, but there's like shades of Draymond Green in his game that are impossible to ignore. He's longer than Draymond. He's way more athletic than Draymond, but he sees the game a little bit like Draymond. When he's in the middle of the floor, you trust it. You trust it, right? So Darko, after the game, we'll take a look at the press conference because there isn't a hell of a lot to discuss, and I'd rather let the pros discuss it. But there's shades of Scottie in him. Sure, I mean, by the fact that they're both versatile wings who can pass the basketball and rebound, for sure. I think, it's very interesting. I talked about it at length in the last live, that there's like an archetype of player that I really like, which is the guard who grew into a forward, the undersized guard who went through this entire process. And, I like to look at progression on a broader scale, on a bigger timeline. When I look at Jonathan Mogbo, it's like we're talking 5 years. How many players in this league have gotten better over the last 5 years than Jonathan Mogbo? He basically turned himself from a complete afterthought in the recruiting cycle to a JUCO player, to a mid-conference player, to the best player in his conference, to an NBA player. Like, at some point, you have to just understand late bloomers exist in life in all spectrums. And maybe this is just a guy who's hitting his stride a little bit later. It could be due to coaching. It could be due to early experiences. It could be because of the growth spurt and growing into his body. But, if Darko is saying that this is one of the hardest workers that he has on his team, and you're seeing that work pay off in his handle getting better, his finishes getting better, his jump shot looking a lot smoother, even if it didn't go in very much tonight, the percentages are not as important as the process, and the process seems to be getting better and better with him, right? So you have this entire roster full of guys, and I don't know if Chris Boucher is back next year. I have no idea. There's a lot of hypotheticals with that situation, right? Will he be back? Won't he be back? I have no idea. But with Chris, without Chris even, you have like 11 guys on this team before you add any draft picks, right? Before you add any draft picks. Add 2 more draft picks, you got 13 guys. 13 guys that could play a role for you. 13 guys that could, play minutes for you next year. And of course, you have the potential injuries to Brandon Ingram, so you'll need to stockpile some depth at that guard position. None of this is including any other roster additions, no consolidation trades or whatever. But it's really making me think, with all the depth that the Raptors added last offseason, with, we're talking like over a really long period of time, we've been doing this like 1 for 3 type of shit. If you notice that, have you noticed that? Like for OG and Precious, you really got 3 players back, right? Malachi Flynn is an afterthought, doesn't matter, right? It's the same thing with Jalen McDaniels. You got like 3 players back. You got you ended up, was it 3 players? Yeah, you got 3 players. You got Davion Mitchell, you got Jamal Shed, and you got this year's Portland pick. So it's like 1 for 3, 3 for 2, 2 for 3, the Pascal Siakam trade. How many players do you get back for that? You traded one player. You got back like 4 assets. Ochai is a part of it. Jacoby's a part of it. Brandon's a part of it. Ingram, right? That was basically Ingram was the guy, right? So you have all these trades, and now I feel like you got to go the other way, just like you did with that Brandon Ingram trade. You traded 3 for 1. Do it one more time. Do 3 for 1 one more time. Rebalance this roster. I think we'll do that. Okay. Speaking of going to the game with Vince, Vince is calling in, so it'll be nice to have a co-host for the rest of this live. Vince, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. How are you? Sorry, I'm a little later than I anticipated.
Yes. Well, how did you enjoy the game?
Good. I had to come home to this. I don't know if you see, packing boxes
Mm-hmm.
just up to my eyeballs and getting shit ready to go.
Dope,
It's a
man.
nightmare.
You will not believe that the Utah Jazz just won a game.
I saw that. I saw that little pop up on my phone, which I need to get that same app that you have on your phone, so I stopped getting distracted by scores popping up constantly.
Dude, all I want for Christmas is the San Antonio Spurs randomly beat the Golden State Warriors today so I can stop crashing out and stop worrying about this, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think
Isn't
that's
it?
going to happen.
Is that game over?
Which game? San Antonio?
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes to go in the fourth. San Antonio's down by 9. They're not gonna win their game.
I saw
It's
that
not.
they were up earlier, and I was just like, Jimmy's playing, Steph's playing, Draymond's playing. It's not going to happen.
I mean, some of these teams really do have something to play for. I think if you and I are being optimistic, we're hoping that the Dallas Mavericks actually have something to play for on Friday. But I got to tell you, that feels optimistic. It feels a little too optimistic. It feels like they have nothing to play for at this point.
I think it would be tough for them to be able to pull out a win. They may do it just out of pride. They just got spanked by the Lakers. Luka puts up 46 in the game. AD does not play well. I know. I just checked box scores, so I don't know. That doesn't fully paint the picture of the entire game, but
Luca got a standing ovation,
yeah,
as he should. But yeah, he got a standing ovation. It was
I
really
didn't, I
cool.
didn't, I didn't get to watch any highlights yet. Did they cheer for him when he scored?
Yes.
They did.
Hmm.
That's what I figured. Were there any Nico sucks chants?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that would be pretty harsh. I mean, deserving, but harsh for sure.
Yeah. No, it's brutal, man. This tanking stuff, like I wish it would go away. Recruiter dude said it's still insane to me that the big name player we traded for won't even suit up in a Raptors uniform for another 6 months. Yeah, man. I mean, you know what? When I heard that BI was ramping up, I was like, are we actually gonna accidentally stumble? We picked this game because this was the only time I could do this, but are we gonna stumble into the BI season debut? BI just roasting Yusuf Nurkic over and over until he just like falls over and dies on the court. I don't know. Yeah, it's goodbye to this season. I can't
Yeah,
wait for this season to be over. But so many good things have happened this season. Did you notice
totally.
anything that maybe people at home don't notice? For instance, I noticed Scottie Barnes grabbing his hand a lot in this game. Like there were at
Totally.
least 17 instances where he would flick a shot up and he'd be coming down the court and he'd be holding his right hand. So I was really shocked to see that flurry of 3-pointers in the third quarter. I was like, whoa, like did
Yep.
he ice it at halftime or something? It's like on the one hand, we're getting dragged into these Utah Jazz conversations. On the other hand, we got a star player who's actually playing hurt for a lost
Right.
season. It's like pick a side, man.
Yeah. It was a little strange to see that for sure, but like again, that's the sort of thing that makes you love Scotty, right? He's got no chill in him. He wants to play. He's one of those guys that to hell with the ulterior motives of the season, you know, he wants to be there for his team. Like he was when they went through that little so it's funny that toward I just so with 5 minutes left in the second quarter, um I think Raptors had 35 points. And with with 5 minutes left, Rob went up to got up to go to the washroom. And I almost said, I guarantee they're going to have like 55 by the end of this half because they just put their starters back in. IQ, Scottie, and RJ all went in.
Mhm.
And then they picked apart a non-existent defense and just it was one swish after another, swish, 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 and I think they got to 54 by the end of the half.
Right.
And it was just like curtains from there. Like that was like, okay, that was the ball game right there. But yeah, that entire time, Scottie was fucking up cheering for IQ when he like mauling him after he hits a three, going into a timeout, like little things like that. That's what makes you love the guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, the culture is so obvious, right? As someone who complained and bitched about this, terrible culture for most of, 2 years, like I am so relieved that is gone. That concern is gone.
Totally.
But
No, there's no. I don't think there's any culture issues. And I think next year is going to be good vibes again. And as
it's
you know,
already good
as
vibes. If it's good vibes while you're
no,
losing, surely the winning will not create bad vibes.
that's what I meant. I think it's like good vibes with a competitive winning team again. Um, and I think that this year is serving like what. Yeah, we're going through a lot of losses for sure, but they are. I mean, they're essentially playing what's going to be their bench next year against starting lineups, right? Like they're getting a good sample size. They're seeing who can play, right? And like a lot of guys can play, right? Jameson Battle is good for 15 minutes a game next year, right? These guys are like Mogbo is excellent. Jamal Shed is excellent. We didn't get to see him tonight, unfortunately. And Jacoby's great. Like that's what you wanted. What you got from them this year is what you want to see. And then next year when they're playing other teams' benches, are you kidding me? They're gonna roast them.
Well, I
So
think I think the BI component of this, because like again, when people look at Jonathan Mobo in isolation, they're just like, okay, well, come on now, he's not great.
sure,
He certainly has a lot of holes, and you could say the same thing about Jamison Battle. Like, sure, he's a standstill corner shooter. He'd move a little bit, but don't ask him to do too much. There is a little bit of one dimensionality in his game. Is he that great of a defender, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, cool. Oh, by the way, it's a 1 point game, San Antonio Golden State. It could happen. It's not gonna happen. I'll tell you that right now, but it could happen. But we're doing a watch party anyway. We're praying on
yeah.
the Spurs to win this game. It's not gonna happen.
Can
Anyways,
we actually do a watch party? Can you do that, or will
no,
you get like demonetized? What?
I wouldn't be demonetized. I'd be jailed and then sent to
Oh,
I would be sent to a Taiwanese prison. No,
you YouTube timeout.
I'd be on YouTube, like, yeah. But I mean, this is as close as we can get to a watch party. Just watching the box score change. Hey man, there's a lot of casuals in this world. This is how they watch basketball. Okay. Like this is
Sure.
literally how they watch basketball. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, man. I think like the BI component of this is like Jameson Battle becomes so much more dangerous when you actually play him. Like the cool thing is the Raptors have these 5 rookies. I'm gonna actually throw Grady and Ochai into this bunch as well, right?
Totally.
So 4 of them fulfilled the role of competent role players, right? That's Jameson, Ochai, Mobo, and Jamal Shed. They can be like really competent eighth, ninth guys,
Totally.
right? If Jamal Shed is your sixth man, you're cooked. Like you're dead. Like
Right.
that's not going to work for you. He's not there yet. But if he's like your ninth or tenth best player, I think you can float. It's not optimal, but you can float. Like
Totally.
like it's not terrible. You don't have Taj Gibson as your 10th guy, right? Like you're
No.
not running out of players. You're not running out of bodies. It's like he's way better than Malachi Flynn ever was. I'm willing to say that confidently. Jamal Shed is better than Malachi Flynn at any point in his NBA career as a rookie. So
As a rookie.
let's, yeah, he's doing this as a rookie, and he has a lot of pedigree. And so, okay, so we got Jamal Shed. In an optimal world, he's probably a third string point guard right now until he grows into that jump shot a little bit.
Sure.
When you think about backup point guards across the league, Peyton Pritchard, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nemhart, like he's not on that level, but he can grow into that maybe by next season, maybe in a couple of seasons. Okay,
Well,
cool.
Nemhar's
So,
a starter.
occasionally, yeah. But okay, fine. Let's just consider somebody like Ayo Dosunmu. Is he better than Ayo
Sure.
Dosunmu right now? No, he's not. So,
Oh,
you know, is he? Yeah, he's not better than Ayo Dosunmu, man.
no,
So
he's definitely not better than Io now, but I think when it's all said and done, I think he could be better. Just I think the things that he specializes in could be overall better than the things that Dasunmu specializes in, possibly. Not saying it's a sure deal, but it's possible.
sure, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look at something like I don't know. I'm thinking if Daryl with the LOL, a Taiwanese person, I'll come visit you. That's hilarious.
Uh,
Yeah. Just briefly, Sparkling saying, how big is the gap between Castle and Water? Walter, I literally thought about this 2 days ago, and I was just thinking about it, and I was very, very high on Stephon Castle coming into this draft. I think I had him as like the fourth or fifth rated prospect, but there were times where I floated with him as my second. I think the finishing is better for Castle. He's a better athlete right now. The defense is pretty close, I would say. And the three-point shooting is clearly in Jacoby's favor. So if one of these guys is going to become a role player, it's probably, I'd say Jacoby's chances of becoming a really, really solid fourth starter, fifth starter, like a KCP, is much better than Stephon Castle. If one of these guys is going to morph into an all-star, I would say Stephon Castle has the better chance.
I'd say so. Uh,
Yeah.
but Castle's fucking nice. I think that's a tough comparison between those two for sure.
I mean, the best of Jacoby versus the best of Castle, it's like almost like, but the best of Castle has been really impressive this year. Just like I
Yeah,
would say the best of someone like Matas Buzelis has been like really jaw dropping. Like,
totally.
whoa, you see like Franz Wagner type potential here. And of course, I'm reminded that Matas Buzelis was there. He was available for the pick that we traded away for Jakob Pertl. So, it's the gift that never it's just, ugh. I feel like I'm going to be in therapy like 12 years from now. And the therapist is going to be like, okay, so what do you see when you close your eyes? And I close my eyes and I just see Jakob Pertl. Like, she'd be like, that's the crux of it, man. It's going to be like, it's going to be my rosebud. At the end of my life, it's like, what was the meaning of your entire life? Like, where is the genesis? Where did it all start? And be like, Jakob Pertl, man. Jakob fucking Pertl.
Let's just look at. Let's hope that the season that he had this year applies to next year. If he can replicate this season with with next year's starting lineup,
Mhm.
I feel like we'll all start feeling a little bit better about that trade.
I mean, look, you've followed this channel for long enough to know that I don't always mirror the Raptors like what they want to do. Like I'm very often, uh-oh. I'm trying to find a layout where this is not so big and we are not so small, but I'm struggling to find that layout. This well, it's
There
a
you go.
little bit better. So yeah, like I'm trying to imagine him on the court with a Brandon Ingram, and I'm wondering how many of the same issues that were present, at least offensively, with Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas are once again present with Jakob Pertl, i.e., the places like he's dominating on the floor. At least Jonas could shoot it a little bit, right? Jonas was taking threes. At some point in his career, Jonas was like, it was very regular that Jonas was shooting like north of 35% from three. So I don't know.
Yes, I I think that I don't know. I'm hoping. So from the eye test, it seems to me that Jakob Pertl's
Mm,
got
it's a tie game.
a yeah. I think Jakob's got he's just an all round smarter player. I feel like
Okay.
he's his basketball IQ is just higher, and hopefully that will pay dividends. Um, Also, not as I mean, he's not whatever. He's not sticking with Dame Lillard on the perimeter, but he's a little quicker footed than Jonas.
Okay.
Um, Recovers better, obviously better shot blocker, better rim protector. Um,
Yeah, but that's
and
all that's defense.
Yeah, and I like his touch around the rim is I want to say kind of just as adept as Jonas, Like maybe not. Like okay, maybe Jonas can do a little bit more overpowering in spots. Um, but
Mhm.
he's still got it. Like he knows when to shoot. He's shooting dang near what 70%, like I don't know, 68% on the year, I think.
Jakob is like if Isaiah Hartenstein just didn't know how to shoot at all,
Right,
you know? There's a
right,
little bit of that, but he's also
right,
way worse defensively than Isaiah Hartenstein, and I hope people can recognize that.
right.
So, it's it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tough.
He's definitely not. No, Isaiah's that guy's got tenacity and physicality to his game that Yak just doesn't have.
Is it too late to start introducing, like, some sort of jump shot? Again, I just feel like he gets in the way a little bit too much with Scottie and BI. So, like, there's ways to navigate it, but when you start introducing like, again, there is, like, this hypothetical version of Brandon Ingram next year that looks perfect on this team. He's a corner shooter, he's a spot up shooter from the top, he extends his range out, he plays with the basketball, he dances with the basketball a little bit less, moves with the basketball a lot more, does a little bit more movement shooting, and the Raptors are actually allowed to give him some space, and then you almost always have, like, one of Scotty or BI to be that playmaking 3-4 on your
Right,
team because BI's a very good passer. Like,
right.
he's a better passer than RJ. He's a better passer than Emmanuel Quickly. I think he'll walk in immediately as the third best passer on this team behind probably Scottie Barnes and Jamal Shed. Like, he's a pretty damn
Yeah,
good passer. So
totally.
that wing playmaking combined with the isolation scoring, but the whole point of isolation scoring is clearing out the weak side. Like, I need to like, in order for me to isolate correctly again, the Raptors don't have isolation scores. They're almost always attacking off of motion. But
Right.
in order to create the right advantage, like, imagine Brandon Ingram in place of Jaylen Brown, right? So, I draw a matchup that I find favorable. I ask for a clear out. Kristaps Porzingis goes out to the fans out to the top. Tatum goes out to the corner. Maybe one player comes into the screen, but they're able to pop to the opposite corner. And then I have a guard who's kind of fanning out, also kind of above the break. So now I have a clean paint. And if I don't have a clean paint, I have a clean outlet. So it just creates like this beautiful basketball clearance in the paint and it allows Brandon Ingram to go one on one. Now, Brandon Ingram, not exactly the most frequent driver to begin with. He often kind of stops short on his drives.
Yeah.
Scotty's also the same way. So
Hmm.
everyone pining for like, oh, you got to get rid of RJ Barrett. You got to get rid of, it's like, who is driving to the
Yeah.
basket on this team if it's not RJ? Because it's barely Scotty and it's barely BI. So again, like Brandon Ingram, off ball patterns, not great. Grady Dick, off ball patterns, brilliant. Emmanuel Quickly, in theory, off ball patterns, brilliant. There's just like it's like a weird chessboard that you have with all these players. And I'm very curious to see how it's all going to materialize.
And I sell you on Dylan Harper as that guy.
Yeah, I mean, if we get the number 2 pick, it's a
Yeah.
no-brainer, and if you get the number 1 pick, it's also a no-brainer to not take Dylan Harper. Like, Harper is going second.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
there's not a team that I can think of in their right mind that's picking anyone other than him second, and I don't think there's a team in their right mind who's picking him first. So,
Right.
like, wait a second. Did they? No, it's still. See, I knew it. They'll get just close enough, but they won't win this game,
Well,
you know?
I actually have League Pass up on my phone as we're talking here,
Mhm,
and there was like a furious sequence where Golden State just got like 3 or 4 offensive rebounds. They finally got
mhm.
a cut to the basket. Curry puts in the basket. They come down the San Antonio comes down the court, and Mamu walks into a 3 at the top of the key and nails it. And then Golden State calls a timeout all dejected. So, they're hanging tough.
Yeah, but they do this, man. Like they
Yeah,
are they're tanking perfectly because not only do they stay in these games, but they do manage
totally.
to actually close them out properly. And you almost have to wonder how. Like, I don't know how to do that without deliberately going up to a player and being like, I'm gonna need you to lose this game. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know how
Yeah,
they're pulling it off.
you can't. You can. And also it's the advantage. We've talked about this before. Steph 3. Oh, he misses. We've talked about this before. Being in the West, it's like what's the saying? Iron sharpens iron, or what is that it?
Sure.
Iron
Yeah.
sharpens. And so they're just playing. They're playing really good teams all the time, so they're able to play their best players and still lose. Whereas if we play our best players going up against Charlotte, like it's impossible. That's what I said at the beginning of this game. Like it's impossible to lose this game, even if IQ, RJ, and Scotty play like 15 minutes. It's impossible to lose this game. They could have played 0 minutes. Those three guys together could have played 0 minutes, and it still would have been like a 20-point blowout.
Yeah, we would have had Jonathan Mogbo more triple double, maybe a
Yeah,
quadruple
right.
double. Like, okay, so the play of the game for me was it the RJ steal, the slowest steal in NBA history. Was it that?
Yes, that's the best. It was just like he pretty much rolled the ball into I think it was Nurkic who was trying to receive it. He just like rolled it to him, and it was just like he just jogged into the steal.
Bro, when it was Nurkic who threw the pass, right? I don't know who
So
threw the pass.
I thought
They
it was
almost tried to use Nurkic as a post hub, like Nikola Jokic, almost like they're like,
right.
hey, this Mike Malone guy got fired. Okay, maybe he was wrong all those
Hmm.
years ago to pick Jokic over Nurkic. Maybe
Right.
the real MVP is here in Charlotte. Let's try that out.
Let's
Let's try
post him
that
up.
out. Let's see if this Yusuf Nurkic guy, who is basically a bum at this stage in his NBA career, I don't like to use that word too often, but he is so bad. And watching it up close, he is so bad.
Harrison
Exactly.
Barnes
Yes.
just gave the fucking ball away. God damn it.
Yo, I got news for you. They're up. Oh,
Oh, strips
they were
Himmy.
they were up for a minute. They were up for
You know
10
what?
seconds, and
Oh,
then Golden State scores. Shit. Stephon Castle, Steph Curry
that
makes a
was
layup. Don't make
that.
layups, Steph. Do
Okay.
your old hometown a solid. Steph, you're from here. I mean, you're not really from here. You played grade 6 basketball here, but like for real, like you were here for a bit. Empathize.
Right.
Damn. Sitting here begging Steph Curry to throw a game so that we can stop worrying about this shit.
Um, Stephon Castle, that the bucket he just scored right before Curry was very nice. Oh,
Could
and then
Jacoby Walker have made that shot?
he just threw it out of bounds. God damn it.
See, I mean, Stephon Castle's analytics are nothing close to even Franz Wagner as a rookie, Scottie Barnes as a rookie. Like, there's such a classes of difference here. But again, analytics are weird, right? They're very weird. Like when you're talking about young players, you just can't judge it too much. Julian Champagny makes a 3-pointer. Spurs are
Come
up.
on. Come
With
on.
2 minutes to go, the Spurs are
Steel
up.
Castle. Come on.
Steph
Champagny.
Curry misses a 30-footer.
Flash.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Oh my God. It's not going to
It's
happen.
funny.
It's not going to
I'm
happen.
watching it. I'm watching everything like 8 seconds after you say it. It's so fun. It's on a time delay.
It
So that
is.
was a Moses Moody gets the offensive rebound after Steph's missed three, kicks it out
Josh
to Draymond.
Josh Dimitri saying, I believe. You are very incorrect to believe, my friend. This ain't happening. I mean, look, I pray that you are right and that I am wrong, but it seems like I will be right
No,
again.
Jimmy's about to make 2 free throws,
Yep, he is. The more
and they just don't.
interesting thing is, will the Kings catch up to the Nuggets in Coach Adelman's debut? 104-108 with 4 minutes to go. Denver is such an interesting team because they keep throwing away these late games. They've had some of the most cataclysmic, crazy meltdowns that I've seen of any team. Keldon
I
Johnson
watched
misses.
I watched the I watched the Russ meltdown happen in real time, and it was painful.
Yo, Russell Westbrook or Coach Killer? Is this real? Can we talk about that? Like Scott Brooks, that was one, right? Frank Vogel, that's two. He's taken out 3 of the best coaches in NBA history. Be honest. If Russ doesn't blow that layup and he doesn't make that foul, they win that game. 100%. They win that
It,
game. If he literally like he
if
could
he
do
does
anything.
one of the two things, if he did not close out on that 3-point shooter, they win the game. Because that was a missed shot. It was a
Yo,
missed shot 100%.
what the hell are the Spurs doing? They're such assholes. Find this dumbass team. Okay. Here's the sequence of events. Draymond Green, bad pass. Keldon Johnson
Oh my
steals the
God.
basketball. He misses a layup. And then
Yeah,
the Warriors rebound and Stephon Castle fouls?
I just watched it happen.
Fouls? Was it
I just
deliberate?
watched it happen.
Is it an intentional
No,
foul?
no, 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 no. They like they were just going after a rebound. He was going after a rebound with someone else, and they just sort of collided accidentally.
I'm sure it was an accident, but it's gonna put somebody at the line. Is it gonna put Draymond at the line?
It's putting Jimmy at the line.
Oh,
So
there you go. Game's over.
I mean,
Game's over. I told you, man. Game's
it's
over.
actually a
They're
bogus
not winning
call.
this
Like
game.
they're calling him, or they're calling it over the back, and it was a bit of a bullshit call. He jumped higher than Jimmy, but he just happened to be behind him, and then Jimmy flopped forward, and he got the call. It's bullshit.
Fine Jimmy Butler. No, 8 technical fouls right now. You know what? Vince and I were sitting there up in the stands, and we were thinking of ways that the Raptors can potentially throw this game against Charlotte. We came
That's
up with
right.
some hilarious hijinks that the Raptors could pull off, and invariably they would be fined, but at least they would secure number 7. Here were some of the ideas that I spitballed. Number 1, scoring on your own basket on
Own goals.
attempted defensive rebounds. Okay, so this was an idea that I had. Like every single time you go for a defensive rebound, it just kind of slips your finger and you accidentally throw it into your own basket. Scottie would be really good at this. Mogbo would also be really good at this. They're both really good jumpers. Okay. Another option that I had was what was it? Just throwing the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Repeatedly, just trying to make like smooth passes and throwing the ball out of bounds. The other one was just pick up a whole bunch of technicals all at once. Like to close out the game. If the game was close, hypothetically, if the game was close, it was like a 3-4 point game. You just pick up like 7 or 8 technical fouls. Right?
Start berating the refs.
Yeah, like just randomly for no reason, Scottie just walks off he just walks onto the court. He's not even in the game. He just walks onto the court. I don't know, like moons the crowd or something, or like this punches a ref. I don't know. Like I don't know if his reputation would ever recover from that. I thought about that. I thought maybe another option would be to stage a brawl, like literally to. There was another option, which was don't show up. Literally blame
That's
the
right.
TTC. I got caught on the TTC. Just say, hey, our players are extremely economical, environmentally friendly. They all take the TTC. The TTC was, stuck with signal traffic. We can't start this game. We have to throw it. We don't have enough players. We only have, injured players here. Okay. Then what was the other one that I thought of? Fake injuries for all your players, like literally
That's
have
right.
like all your players get injured, and then at some point just like have a player
Have
and
to forfeit the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You would have to forfeit the game. If you can't dress enough players, you have to forfeit the game, and then boom, there goes your tank. So many options.
Okay.
I thought about Cole Swider, half court shots, logo shots all the time.
Oh wow. Oh my God. Curry bad pass. Harrison Barnes steals. Holy shit.
Dude, they went up.
Oh my God. No.
Yes.
I'm about to watch
Keldon
it.
Johnson. There goes.
Did they wind the clock? Wow. Holy shit. Bro, Stephon Castle is nice, dude.
Okay.
He just made that play.
Harrison Barnes, personal foul. You asshole.
No, on who?
Harrison Barnes fouls.
Oh my God. You have got to be fucking kidding me. I swear to God, he is throwing the game on purpose.
Yeah.
They better have a foul to give. They are not. They're in the bonus.
With 3 seconds to go, Draymond Green to the line, Please, Lord, miss this.
He's no way. He's too clutch.
He made the
He's too
first.
clutch.
He
He's
makes
too
the first.
clutch.
He made the second.
Fuck. I swear to God, Harrison Barnes, you should see the play. I swear he must have done it on purpose. Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot believe they made that play. I truly cannot believe that he's the vet on the team. I swear to God, like he knows where bodies are buried in Golden State.
My disdain for Draymond Green cannot get any worse.
You and me both, dude.
It just got worse.
I
3
cannot
seconds to
stand
go.
him.
Spurs full timeout. I wonder what shot they're going to try to miss, right? And here's what I hope happens. I hope they try to miss a shot and the refs call a foul on the shot. No, because then they'll just go and throw the free throws. What do I hope happens? I hope they try to miss the shot and they make it anyway. Like they just try to throw one up. I've tried to miss a shot before and made it by accident.
Fuck, man. They were so close. They just had to play solid defense for 10 seconds.
You know, people ask like, why are the Spurs playing guys like Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes? Why are the Raptors playing guys like Scottie and Jakob? This is why. Because when you need to throw a game, it's these guys who can actually do it for you. AJ Lawson is not throwing a game for you. AJ Lawson is out here campaigning for his freaking NBA career. Jared
Totally.
Rhoden is not going to throw a game for you. Just like for the Spurs, you're not going to go up to Stephon Castle and be like, yeah, we need you to blow this game. You're going to give that instruction to Harrison Barnes. And it's very
No.
ironic to me that it is Harrison Barnes who did that. Now, I'm not even looking at the freaking game, but I can tell you 3 seconds to go, you foul, you're up 2.
Dude, he was at the top. He was at the top of the key beyond the 3-point line. That's where he fouled him.
Oh my God. It's over. It's over. It's
No.
over. They won. Oh my God. Yes.
Come on.
Yes. It's over.
No fucking way. Who made the shot?
Harrison Barnes. I take back everything. I take back it. I take it all back. Yes.
Holy shit. I take back everything I just said about Harrison Barnes. And how fucking fitting, dude. How fitting is it that it is Harrison Barnes of all people? Fucking coin toss Ross.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Honestly, dude.
This makes this whole thing worth it.
Dude, what he just did was a Damian Lillard shot. Like it was so being guarded by Jimmy, he gets it just beyond the 3-point line, 2 dribbles to his left over the shoulder, fadeaway 3, and drills it. When have you ever seen Harrison Barnes make that shot ever?
I just want to throw some irony onto this. I have literally been saying for 3 weeks that we want to avoid a coin toss Ross situation because we wanted Harrison Barnes. And Harrison Barnes is the player who makes sure that we don't end up in another coin toss Ross era. Dude, this shit needs to be subject to a documentary. Wow. I can't believe what I just watched. This is a full circle moment. 13 years in the making. 2012, the Raptors go in. They are tied in record, despite me screaming that they needed to lose those games. Tied in record with the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors end up winning a fucking coin toss. The Raptors go lose their minds, pick Harris. They don't get Harrison Barnes, who they reportedly wanted. They get Terrence Ross. He is not very good. I don't care what the hell people want to say about him. He was not good for the Raptors. He's one of the worst 8th overall picks in NBA history. I don't care. I honestly don't care. The greatest thing that he ever did was that we got Serge Ibaka for him. And we threw in firsts, by the way. Serge was a mid-20s guy. You traded a lottery pick for an older mid-20s guy. Think about it.
And he dropped the most unlikely 50 piece that's ever been dropped in the history of the NBA.
And it seems like
maybe next to Corey Brewer.
For real. Oh my God. Dude, I went to the Raptors game tonight thinking we would be having like 5 days of nauseating hell. And now we can just go out and win these next 2 games.
Totally.
Is it too late to undo this shutdown Brandon Ingram thing? We can just bring him back.
Well,
Yo, this is amazing.
I mean, it is possible that the Spurs still jump it up into top 4 anyway. Like, and, you know, you
I
can never
mean,
plan for
all
that,
of this
but
posturing, and wouldn't it be funny if that is exactly what happens?
yeah, totally.
I gotta post this on X because, like, right now, this is wow. 13 years in the making.
Daryl S says, "Ha ha ha, after hitting that shot, Harrison Barnes kept his hands up and slowly turned around with a look of bemused disappointment on his face." I missed that. I missed that clip.
Daryl, did you actually see it, or are you just writing a fan fiction?
Yeah.
The other end of coin toss Ross. So, uh, just secured the Raptors the 7th spot in the reverse standings by hitting a game winner against the team that picked him.
That's right. Insanity. There's, all sorts of levels of dramatic irony there.
This is crazy. Sorry, guys. I realize I should be focused on this. Uh, I'm doing a live while I'm trying to write this out really quickly,
Do it.
but I just
Do it.
wanted to write that out. I had to write that out. Okay. This is amazing.
Yes.
This is amazing. I am a
Okay, so
very happy person right now.
we're in 7th. We're in 7th. It's not the worst place to be. They've got, uh, equal equal chance to get into the top 4 as they do the 8th pick, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
For sure. I mean, hey, there's let's say the Raptors had some luck the last time they were 7th, right? So this is my little post here. I said 13 years in the making. Harrison Barnes, the other end of coin toss Ross, just secured the Raptors' 7th spot in the reverse standings by hitting a game winner against the very same team that stole him from Toronto. This is nuts. That is a fact. I don't know if everyone drew that connection, but okay. So here's what the Raptors just secured. Hey, fuck, get the hell out of here. This is for anybody who doesn't understand probability and all this shit. You need to study this chart and you need to get real familiar with it. Now, I understand that studying this chart is not going to make this any better, or it's not gonna make this go any better for the Raptors. But it's worth noting that last year, the team that currently sits where the team that sat where Phoenix currently sits, which is the Atlanta Hawks, the 9th team, right? They were the team
Alright.
that ended up jumping up to 1,
Right, right.
right? So
I
2
mean,
good things
conventional
happened for the
wisdom would
Raptors.
say yeah, conventional wisdom would say it would be very, 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 very unlikely that that happened twice in 2 years.
Fair. Also, something good happened for the Raptors tonight, which is the Portland Trail Blazers lost to the Utah Jazz. The reason that's good for the Raptors is because we have their 2nd round pick.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
right.
for a little
That's
while
right.
there, when they were sneaky good and they might be going into play-in territory, I was thinking, shoot, might we end up with like the 43rd pick in the 2nd round, which is just a far cry from what I initially walked into the season thinking we're going to get the 32nd pick or something. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
32nd in this year's draft might be a freaking like starter,
right.
future starter. Like I don't think people understand like right now we're really high on a lot of these rookies, right? And there's no disrespect to any of these rookies. There are players that are currently mocked 13th to 25th in this draft that I would swap most of these guys out for in a heartbeat.
Right.
Heartbeat. So the potential element is amazing. Noble Venom says, as we are entering March and looking at the schedule, this could have been a lot worse than 7. The 9-10 odds was looking like a real possibility.
For sure.
Noble Venom, you are correct. Number 1, it required Chicago to go on the run that they went on. Number 2, there was a moment in time when the Miami Heat looked like they were in the biggest free fall in NBA history. They went from a team that was looking at home court advantage after Philly fell off and Milwaukee was struggling and, all the injuries, to a team that basically plummeted down the Eastern Conference standings and ended up at ninth. They had lost 9 straight games, and I was like, they're going to out-tank us.
Right.
Miami is going to end up where we are, and Lord knows we're never going to catch Brooklyn, and we're never going to catch Philly, we're never going to catch New Orleans, Charlotte, Washington, Utah. But as you can see the odds here, the Raptors walk into the draft with a 14% chance at Cooper Flag, a 14% shot. Sorry, not a 14%.
7.5.
A 7.5% chance at Cooper Flag, a 7.8% chance at Dylan Harper, an 8.1% chance at potentially, whoever you want to pick at 3, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, whoever. And then number 4, which is the one that the Raptors did hit, which was Scottie Barnes, 8.5%. That's exactly where the Raptors were when they moved up to number 4. Now, again, 8.5, right? And look at the declining odds. The Raptors have almost as good a shot as Brooklyn at that 4th pick. Have almost as good a shot as Brooklyn at the 3rd pick and 4th pick. It's the 1st pick that Brooklyn has the edge on. And then, when you consider the Raptors odds versus the top 3 teams, it's like almost half.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the Raptors hurt themselves. Like the best place for the Raptors to end up obviously would have been 4th. I think 4th would have been my most comfortable place. You were never going to get to 1st or 2nd or 3rd. So when the Raptors started to win, I was like, please just stay in the top 4. Worst case, move to 5. As you can see, there are clear tiers, right? Tier 1 through 4. That's like one tier. Tier 2 is 5, 6. That's another tier. If we're just grouping in terms of probability. Tier 3 is exactly where we are, which is 7, 8. And then there's a huge fall off into tier 4, which is basically 9, 10. And then you have one final tier, which is say a prayer, which is those bottom 4 teams. How I would fix this, obviously, is I would flatten it much, much, much more for those bottom 4 teams. Like I would give all bottom 4 teams a bit more of a boost, and I would take that boost away from the top. I would literally redistribute extra percentage points from the top and just give it to the bottom. No, I am not Karl Marx. I am not preaching the Communist Manifesto here, but I would be very communistic when it comes to, the NBA draft lottery. So,
well,
yeah,
listen, communism in a sports league works. Like that's the ideal place to exercise. I think so. I mean, listen, what does every fan want? In my estimation, you want parity. You want to know that your chance, like
I want
as it stands right
domination
now, at right. Well, I mean, you want okay. What you don't want, or what I don't want as a sports fan, is the LA Dodgers right now. Let's just buy the fuck out of the best team every single year. Okay,
Right.
you already have the best team. Let's also add Shohei Ohtani. Let's also add Roki Sasaki. Let's also add, like they also, like, I don't know if you follow baseball at all. They also got like the best relief pitcher that was on the free agent market as well this year. Like you can't compete with that, right? In a sports league, I want to know that my team has a chance to win. So
Right.
anyway, that's like communism to me in a sports league is what works. Now you're always going to get like what's going to inevitably happen is what happened to San Antonio many years ago, where they had David Robinson. He got hurt for a year, then they get Tim Duncan, and now they dominate for the next 20 years, right? But mind you, they still had to hit on Tony Parker and Manu, but that having those two fundamental like tent poles makes that much easier. But yeah. Man.
I mean, this feels like a celebration, man. I know it's such a small thing, but as a person who really does get the numbers, this marginal little 1.5% better shot at Cooper Flag, it does mean the world to me. Now, does it matter to me if in the end, what ends up happening is Sacramento, with their 0.5% shot, ends up getting Cooper flag. Does that bother me? I mean, to anyone who's wondering, that's a 1 in 200 shot.
Sure.
They have 1 in 200 shot. You
Mhm.
have 7.5 or 15 in a 200 shot.
Right.
So if you literally have 30 times the odds at Cooper flag as they do right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm cool with it. Okay. If that one lottery ball that they have is the Cooper flag ball, then shit, that's just tough luck. That's math. You know, you can't predict that. There's a world, and I know it's super odd, and I've never seen a simulation where it happened, that Sacramento, Dallas, Chicago, and Miami literally are the top 4 teams. It's possible. It's
Yep.
very unlikely, but it's
Incredibly.
possible.
Yep.
Chicago gets the number 1 pick, and then boom, everybody moves down 4 spots. Toronto moves from 7, but now they move to 11 and not 12,
Right.
right? Look, to anyone who's wondering, the Raptors' best, or not best, their
Worst
most,
case scenario.
they're not the well, their best case scenario is obviously Cooper flag. Their worst case scenario is clearly number 11, or it's less than 1% that they would
Right.
move to number 11, because you would need 4 incredibly
W
unlikely things to happen
hold
all
hold
at
on, hold
once.
on. It's less than 0.1%. It's not less than 1%, it's less than 0.1%. So it's,
Fact.
like, so insanely unlikely.
True,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
possible. So we entertain it as a very unlikely outcome, but
Yeah.
it could happen. 11th is still better than 12th. I
Right.
Again, I have a feeling that this draft really, like, Kaman did himself no favors in that final game with Duke, right? Zero favors.
Right.
Like, he
Mhm.
absolutely shit the bed at the worst possible time. There's a lot of context around that performance. I don't hold it against him at all. He was freaking amazing throughout the entire tournament and throughout the entire year. He's been amazing. But the fact is that there are teams ahead of him, ahead of us, that will probably like him. Like right now, I could see Kaman being a fit for, hypothetically, right? Everyone's pegging. What's the weirdest thing? Everyone's pegging Washington with Cooper flag, Utah with Cooper flag, Charlotte with Cooper flag. One of these teams is going to get him, or one, maybe we are going to get him. But all these other teams are not, right? So now I think about it and I'm like, okay, what if what happened to Detroit is exactly what happens to the Utah Jazz? What if Utah, a team that has been widely rumored to be shopping, Walker Kessler, falls down to 5?
It's possible.
They take Kaman
It's
Malawach and run, right? What if Charlotte, a team that tried to trade Mark Williams? I mean, look, man, these are both teams with young centers they're not happy with, because they've been trying to trade those young centers the entire
right.
year. Kaman is a young team under team control contract that either one of these teams would be licking their chops at. So if you're the Raptors and Cooper flag ain't, and you don't get Cooper flag, you're kind of hoping that one of these teams don't get bumped to fifth or sixth. Because if they do, right, consider Philly, right? Joel Embiid is out for the entire year. They have a huge Kaman Malawach size hole in their center spot. Again, I'm not saying he's the best prospect in this class. I'm not saying he's the second best prospect in this class. What I'm saying is there's a lot of teams at the very top of this draft, they don't have a big like him at all. And the one they do have, they're not happy with. Mark
Right.
Williams is not a reason to not draft Kaman Malawach. Mark Williams
Right.
is probably, and I mean, like, you look at Charlie and you're like, yeah, we could have 2 7'2" guys, and Kaman starts and Mark Williams backs him up, and we can have 2 of these guys. Yeah, sure, we'll take that.
Mhm.
Kaman works so well with LaMelo Ball, it's actually insane.
Yeah, it would be good.
Like, the fact
He's a
that
lot
he's just a
he's a lot
lob
more
threat.
mobile. Yeah. He's a lot more mobile, great catch radius, good hands, good finisher around the rim. And not only that, but he doesn't shoot a lot unless it's a lob or a dunk or a layup.
Exactly.
So you know that LaMelo likes that.
Absolutely, man. Like, so I
Um,
look at this and I'm just like, okay, like, we got this absolutely, like, very thin window of outcomes in which I'm really hoping Philly moves down. But I mean, hey, okay, what if, and this probably won't happen now. No, it could happen. If Brooklyn moves up and two other teams move up or one other team moves up, there's a chance that we're picking behind the OKC Thunder as well. That's also possible, right? Because if
Yep.
Philly slides back 2 slots, they surrender the pick to OKC. But if 2 teams jump us, that means we're also moving back 2 slots. If Brooklyn's
Mhm.
one of the teams that moves up, like there's a version of this draft lottery in which we're like ninth and OKC is eighth, or we are eighth and OKC is seventh, something like
Yep.
that. So in that case, do they take come on?
We gotta
They
kind
don't
of
have
hope that.
anybody. Dude, they don't have anybody on their roster that's anything like come on.
Right.
And they're always like, they're fucking signed Brandon Carlson. They want shooting bigs. That was their one prerequisite. Come on has shown shooting upside. I'm telling you, people don't realize it. There's a lot of ways that this draft lottery breaks out, and come on is off the board when we pick. So, like you hope his agent and Clutch Sports push him towards us. I really don't hope that visa situation has him in a bad situation, but obviously, with Trump in the United States having his opinion or how he feels about African countries, it probably would put come on in a much better situation if his agency just said, listen, with everything happening with mega country, South Sudan, everything with Trump, we would prefer him to be in Canada. Boom.
Right.
Canada, are you interested? Yes, we are. Sign me up. Get the fuck out of here. So yeah, but I mean, all of this can be avoided by just getting up to fourth. Now, here's my question for you, and this is something you asked me at the game, and I'm kind of
Yep.
curious for your response now because I'm not sure how much of Come On and how much of VJ you've watched.
Right.
Let's say you do get to 4, and let's say the draft order kind of breaks down as Utah picks Cooper, Dylan goes to Washington. Let's say Charlotte goes off the board. Let's say Charlotte does something completely insane. Let's say Charlotte goes Derek Queen at 3, which is totally possible, and they could do it. There's another team that maybe jumps up to 4, which is Brooklyn, or 3. They could easily take Derek Queen too. He's a perfect fit for Jordy's system. Now you're
Sure.
at 4, and you got your pick between Come On, Ace, VJ. Who do you pick?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little reductive when people say best player available. 'Cause but I generally tend to lean into most skill available, like most skilled player available that kind of fits into a need, right? And now
Okay.
the construction of the roster is such that we don't necessarily need like it would be good to have a backup big. So yeah, come on or Derek Queen could fit into one of those roles for sure. But
Mhm.
like if I'm deciding between Bailey, Edgecombe, like Trey Johnson, I feel like I would probably go like sorry. Let me qualify this by saying I haven't seen enough of Trey Johnson to make an assertion fully, but I just feel like whoever would be the most skilled player for what we need in that position, I would likely choose, and I would probably say I feel like you're not going to like this because I know you don't like chuckers. I would probably say Ace Bailey more than likely.
Hmm.
Give like I don't know. I feel like there's a world where he doesn't turn into an NBA chucker, and I feel like on a team with an established wing presence, like I don't know, I still consider Scottie a wing, um, like Scottie, like Bi, like RJ. You know, Ace isn't going to come in there being like, "Yo, this is my team." Like, if he plays well on defense, he learns how to work within Darko's system. Who
Mhm.
knows? I feel like I that would be the decision I make, and at the same time, I fully trust whatever decision the Raptors make because they generally tend to make the right decisions. Right?
in the
I was so
draft. Yeah,
pissed when yeah, I was pissed when they took Grady Dick, and I can't remember. Oh, I wanted Kobe Buffkin real bad,
right.
right? And not to say that Kobe Buffkin's career has been decided yet, but it looks like Grady Dick was probably a better choice than Kobe Buffkin at that point. So
I mean, yeah, I wanted Jordan Hawkins. I think early on it looked like Jordan was the better player, but he was supposed to be the better player. He's older, he's more physically developed. I clearly see the upside on Grady. I totally
yeah,
see what I missed in all the tape that I watched. And it's the same thing with Jacoby last year. Like I really preferred Eve Misi. Now, Eve Misi probably going to be a first team all defense. Sorry, not first team all defense. He's probably going to be first team all rookie. Jacoby is not sniffing all rookie,
right.
unfortunately, right? Partially due to injuries, partially due to where he plays, lack of media attention, whatever.
Hmm.
Going forward, though, there is absolutely a world in which the best version of Jacoby Walter is leaps and bounds better than the best version of Eve Misi. There's also a world in which Eve Misi has a way better career. I don't feel like I was wrong about that. I just feel like my mind was going one directionally and I wasn't thinking entirely about the lob threat. Like I got kind of seduced by the idea of rim protection and like a vertical spacing threat for Scottie. Like a lob threat for Scottie is something he just doesn't have. He's never really had
Right.
it. Pascal wasn't one.
Totally.
Yak ain't one. We've never had that player with him. And I know from watching players, like look at how often Cooper just throws the fucking ball at the rim and he just catches, come on, gets boom, boom, boom. It's like 4 free assists every game, right?
Totally.
Take a player like Scottie, a big playmaker with a vertical lob threat, Luca and Derek Lively, Cooper and Kaman. This shit works. So
Yeah.
Scotty plus Eve Misi was perfect. Eve Misi is a bouncy, defensive, rim running big. Jacoby could be a little bit more than that. So I get the gamble from the Raptors perspective, and I totally understand why having a necessarily not decision maker in the middle of the court might be. And you know what's funny? I put 4 players up for the poll. There's a very good chance they prefer Derek Queen over all of them. So who
Right.
knows? I don't
Yep.
really like it. I'm not totally like I'm not gonna react with like my head in my hand and cry if they pick Ace Bailey. But there's questions that all 4 of these players have, and I think the biggest question for me with Ace is does he follow the trend of bigger wings doing better at the NBA level? Right? Does his jump shot materialize? Like the form is great. The form is great. The percentages were not great. So the free throw shooting, it's concerning. He's under 70% as a guy who's supposed to be a shooter, you know?
Right.
Granted, there's some rough stretches and some good stretches in there. There's really bad games and then there's really good games. The losing, the impact metrics tell me he's not an impactful player. He's an empty calories player who looks really good doing what he does. So,
When he makes tough shots, it just like it looks it looks very pretty. Anyone who can make tough shots can look very good on a basketball court for sure.
yeah, but then okay, like at some point you have to understand this is not a very physically developed player, right? He has a lot of weight to add. He has a very high center of gravity. He's struggling against granted decent conference, like he plays decent competition, but you see some of the ways that he's moved off his spot. He doesn't drive through contact really well. He doesn't finish exceptionally well around the rim. He doesn't get to the rim very often. He's somewhat of an overrated passer. The defense is a little bit hypothetical. There's a lot of question marks. I'll tell you a player who has slightly fewer question marks, BJ Edgecombe. I know he's going to be a plus defender at the NBA level. He's going to be an absolute threat in transition. He's one of the fastest players end to end that I've seen in college basketball all year. And if the on-ball stuff that we saw with the Bahamas this summer when he was just 17 growing up against grown men, so he had no business being good in those situations. He looked good. He looked really
Mhm.
good. He
Mhm.
basically launched himself into top 5 talks because of that. And he's kept himself in that situation, having put up damn near 11 box plus minus for Baylor, a system pretty much where Jacoby was like a 5 box plus minus last year. And I think he's younger than Jacoby was at Baylor, around the same age, maybe. So again, I have a feeling VJ could fall. I told you this, at the game that he could fall a little bit if he measures out a little bit short. I have a feeling he's gonna measure out at a 6'3". That's my feeling. So with
Um,
VJ, the question that you need to ask yourself is the on-ball stuff real? If you believe in the on-ball stuff, this is a combo guard that you just take and you run, right? Like if it's 4. Like I think he makes so much sense. Like don't overthink the wingspan. Okay, yeah, it's a 6'6" wingspan. Yo, like his athleticism is truly off the charts type of
right.
athleticism. Like he's a really great athlete.
He walks into the NBA behind Amen and Ausar Thompson, pretty much,
Yeah,
and ahead of everyone else.
I agree.
Question,
Go ahead.
question. I feel like if they got the 4th overall pick
Mhm.
and they jumped up ahead of, say, either Brooklyn or Utah,
Mhm.
do you think that both they and one of those other 2 teams would swap and Raptors would trade down? Let's say if it was Brooklyn, do you think they would trade down for 6 and 18 so that Brooklyn can jump up and get Edgecombe or whoever at 4? Or do you think that if it was Utah that they jumped, then they would give up Utah's first round pick, so if they fell to, like, 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever. Oh, actually, they can't fall that low. Hold on. How low can they fall altogether? Pick odds, Utah. The lowest they can fall is 6th. So let's say they fall to 6th, Raptors jump them. Would would they give up would they trade 6 and 19 for 3 or 4? So in other words, the Raptors would give them the higher of the picks so that they could either take Ace Bailey or VJ Edgecombe, and then
Mhm.
we would fall down to 6 to take Malawach, and then also get pick either 18 or 19.
Who are they picking?
This is assuming that the Raptors jump into 3 or 4, and now they
Right.
have the choice between Bailey or Edgecombe or whoever you wanna put there,
Right.
right? And then Utah or Brooklyn
Fall.
fall to, like, 6 or
Well,
7.
Utah can only fall to 5.
N
They can't fall to 6.
Utah can fall to 6. They've got a 20% chance to fall to 6. As of
Mm.
right now, as of today's standings, because they just dipped below, Washington. Washington is the worst team. Oh,
Are they
oh,
tied?
I'm looking at updated standings right now.
Okay, wait a second. Aren't they tied in the standings? Don't they have the exact same record?
They
Count the
probably
losses,
are.
not the wins. Count the losses, not the wins.
Well,
So who
I
has
don't know
more
if you
losses?
I don't know if you can see this screen here.
Hang on.
Can you? There you go.
Let me just pull it up here. So I'll refresh. So Tankathon, they have identical records. I'm assuming this means Washington has the tiebreaker against
Probably.
Utah.
If you go
Hang
to the little
on.
More tab in the right corner there.
More?
Yeah.
Where? No, that's
Top
protected.
right in the bar. Up. See where it says NBA home mock draft, big board, compare prospects, full order, more,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
right? And now go to pick odds.
I mean, it's saying Washington, but how did they come up with that? Is it a coin flip?
I'm not sure.
Noble
I'm not
Venom
sure if it's
saying there are no tiebreakers in reverse standings. It's coin flip. Uh, I don't think that's true, Noble Venom, but I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. If one team, like, hold on, I'll look it up. I'm gonna
what
look
are their
this up.
records against each other?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So how is a tie broken NBA draft? NBA draft. Okay. Ties between teams with the same record are broken through a random drawing with the winner receiving the earlier pick, and the ping pong balls are split evenly among third teams. Ah, okay. Never mind. Hang on. But No, that's wrong. AI is wrong. So hang on. So let me just pull this up.
It
This is
often is.
NBA. This is the NBA CBA. Hold on. So tiebreaker basis. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Oh, that's for playoffs. Motherfucker. No, man. I need draft. Are we sure? Always a coin flip for ties in the draft. Okay. Cool. So it's a coin flip. Never mind. I
Okay.
stand corrected.
Okay. So they're just
Why did I think it was I thought I thought the team again, the CBA has changed since the last time. So if it's in the new CBA, I don't know why I thought I read that. But what's possible is I read the article on NBA.com and it says ties are broken. And I was reading the playoff thing when I searched for the draft. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Okay, so yes, there's technically a chance that if Utah loses the coin flip, that they will. I mean, what a stupid thing to go and win tonight against Portland, man. What a silly, silly team. Crazy.
Don't worry, they're going to keep losing. But it's true that it's possible that Washington just keeps losing too.
Mhm.
Um, but maybe they just maybe they've gotten a little talking to by Adam Silver, like, yo, you know, there's a reason we gave you $100,000 fine, which is whatever, nothing to them. But like, start playing your fucking players, for Christ's sake. Like,
Right.
but it's okay. So
Utah's
the
next two games are against OKC and Minnesota. They're not losing a single
okay,
game. They're not winning another game.
yeah, for sure.
And
Washington,
for Washington, let's see here. Washington's next games are against, and Charlotte's next two games, by the way, for anyone wondering, are against Boston twice. So that's going to be fun. And the Washington
Boston
Wizards next
lost.
games,
Boston lost to Orlando tonight and only put up 76 points.
they didn't play any of their
Yeah,
players.
they
They
didn't. They
played
didn't play any
Peyton
players. Yeah,
Pritchard and Baylor Shireman. Like, and I
that's right.
honestly was like, is Paolo going to be so ass in this game that he's still going to manage to lose this game somehow? Paolo had, I think when I checked, it was 9 minutes into the game. It was 15 to 12 for Boston. And Paolo had 0 points on 0 for 3. And I was like, let Scottie do that. Let Scottie do that against this trash version of the Boston Celtics. I honestly thought that maybe the Suns were going to respond with some force tonight. They were up 10 against the Phoenix Sun, against the OKC Thunder. And this is after, just a humiliating loss and that whole viral clip with Devin Booker, where
Right.
there's just this reporter who's kind of like trying to just like, it's the most awkward interview in league history. It's one of them. It's almost as awkward as that Stan Van Gundy and Dwight interview, if you remember, where Dwight came like Stan Van Gundy comes out and he says like Dwight asked for me to be fired, and then Dwight comes out and he doesn't know that his coach already told on him, so he's just sitting there like not knowing that, and he denies it. It's so funny.
I didn't find that awkward at all. It made me love Stan Van Gundy so much more after hearing that. I was just like, he's so funny. But
But
okay,
like this reporter is asking Devin Booker, is like, do you find this embarrassing? And
yes,
Devin Booker's like, yes. And it's like, well, why do you keep getting embarrassed? Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, are you like, it almost felt like a parent talking to a child. And it's like,
yeah,
bro, relax. Like,
yeah,
shit. It ain't one player who's doing this. And certainly you're not pointing the brunt of the blame on what's going on with the fucking Suns to Devin Booker.
right,
Cause like
right,
when Devin Booker and Kevin Durant played this year, they were a pretty good team. It's usually
yeah,
when Bradley Beal plays that they're absolute atrocious ass. And tonight, the OKC Thunder, they don't play Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and they still smoke them
yeah.
despite trailing by 10 at half. Like, honestly, the OKC Thunder have put up more 15-0 runs than any team in this league. They're just
Not
really good
surprised
at
me.
it. They can just shut the water off on you, and you go 4 minutes without scoring. Like, when they turn it up, it is some scary shit.
It is a great defense. They have an excellent defense. Well, okay. So back to my original question. If so, Utah and Brooklyn are the only teams that can do this because they're the only ones that have like multiple
Did
picks.
you miss this?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I
Sorry
saw.
to be a little ADHD. I just did it once, guys.
Oh,
This was not rigged.
yeah,
I just did it once. Okay, go ahead.
we can only dream. My God, how fucking good would their team be? Oh, I can't even. Whatever. I can't even. I can't even think about it.
Yeah.
If it could only happen with either Brooklyn or Utah, because they're the only two teams that have the requisite multiple picks to make it happen. But if either of those two teams, if we land 3 or 4,
Right.
and those teams land 6 or 7, do we make that swap, assuming Malawach is still on the board? And do they take 3 or 4 in exchange for 6 and 18 or 6 and 19? I believe it is.
Which team actually has that second first round pick though?
They both do.
They
Both
both do.
Brooklyn. Yeah, Brooklyn has currently their 6th pick. Then they have 18, 26, 27, 36.
Okay.
Right, and Utah has their current number 2 pick, and then they
Hmm.
have 19, 44, and 52.
Okay. So there's so much that goes into like playing this little game because you would have to take a player that you're comfortable keeping that they want, that you both want. Let's just say, for instance, that player that they want at number 4. Let's say, okay, I'm Danny Ainge. I call you and I say, hey, we would like to offer you 6 and 19, right? That's what you said. They'd have 6 and 19 for number
Right,
4, right?
right,
I think that's a great offer, but I need to know what team number 5 is doing to make sure my guy at 6 is there,
for
right?
sure.
So, provided that team at 5 is a team that I can just call or a team that I can easily project for, then it's not that complicated. But if
Right,
my guy's gone, now I'm fucked because I just traded away a player. Like I moved back 2 spots to acquire an extra first round pick. It feels like
totally.
the Raptors are a little risk averse and they might not make that swap. Now, Glenn Grunwald made a swap like this at some point when he swapped 4 for 5, Vince Carter, Anton Jameson, but that was just because the Raptors are cheap. They just wanted to pay a little bit less to the rookie scale contract. That's the only
Seriously?
reason. They didn't
Come
they didn't
on.
get very much. Dude,
And
the
they
the
and they happen to fall ass backwards into the best player that ever played for the franchise. Fuck.
well, they didn't fall ass backwards. Anton Jameson was considered the significantly better prospect. And when Anton Jameson, quote unquote, fell to 4, the Golden State Warriors, ironically, once again, the Golden State Warriors come up again. They decided that they wanted Anton Jameson badly enough that the Raptors were able to basically say, okay, well, we want Vince Carter. They want Anton Jameson. Let's just swap positions. So I don't know. That's a little bit silly.
Jesus.
So
Who was
again,
who was on Golden State at that time?
Mookie Blaylock.
That
I'm
the,
trying. I'm trying to think.
Weber
Like,
wasn't still on the team at that point, was he?
no, he
He
was
was on
long
Sacramento then.
gone. He was
Yeah.
long gone. He was in Sacramento at that time. No, it was an awful team. So what I'll say is, okay, so number 4. Okay, so I gotta the guy that you want has got to be a guy that I'm comfortable keeping. So let's say it's Ace Bailey, right? So I
Right.
take Ace Bailey and I make a handshake deal with you that if my guy is on the board at 6, you have a deal. And
Yeah,
if he's not, you got 5 minutes to pick your next best player.
that's
But
right.
I know that if my guy goes at 5, and let's just say my guy is, come on, I'm not interested in anybody else. I'm not interested in trading Ace Bailey for Kasper Siakachonis or
Yeah,
Trey Johnson or Con Knipple or anybody. Let's just say for me, I'm perfectly comfortable keeping Ace. But if Kaman is there at 6, I feel comfortable enough that the gap between these two prospects is not so significant that I'd be willing to do this for the extra asset at 19. Yeah,
right,
then we can definitely talk. But I think the Raptors have shown under Masai Ujiri that they don't do this very well. I don't think I've seen a lot of this type of draft maneuvering, and that leads me to think that they are more cautious about this kind of stuff than most teams are. You see teams move back in the draft all the fucking time. The
right.
Raptors can you remember the last time the Raptors moved back in the draft?
I do not. I think it's really hard to pull off, and it takes the right team. Hey, you know who else could do it? OKC.
Okay.
Where is OKC?
So OKC
Uh,
can at best pick 7th in this draft because if it's any higher than 7th, it goes to Philly.
right. Oh no, they can't. Oh yeah, well they have 23 as well, so not as. If they happen to flip up into 7, okay, forget OKC. I think
Well, I
it
mean,
boils down to is are your guys still going to be around at 18, 19, 20? Like, do you value Sarah for Nolan Traore, Noah Senge, um, highly enough to to trade out of Ace Bailey or VJ Edgecombe?
I think a lot of players in this draft present interesting options that are like player archetypes the Raptors don't have on their team. Like, as much as people want to draw some parallels between Con Knipple and Grady Dick, the truth is they're very different players, extremely different players. So they're not similar, in my
Right.
opinion. I don't think they're similar. So yeah, like I mean, whether it's Con, whether like Trey Johnson might be a little bit similar to stuff you have on your roster, but he's probably like a better version of it coming out of college. Come On is a totally different archetype. Derek Queen is a totally different archetype. Ace is a much younger archetype of a player you have on your roster, which is Brandon Ingram. Uh, Cooper is a much more currently advanced version at a younger age of Scottie Barnes, who has already shown shooting upside. And I really do think those two players can play together.
Yep.
Dylan Harper is something you completely don't have on your roster.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit of RJ Barrett with the driving, but it's a lot of the Emmanuel Quickly stuff. And you know, he's got a chance to be special. I don't know, man. This draft is very interesting. I'm just glad that we locked up 7, so I don't have to worry about this for the next 5 days. It is a huge phew, the magic number is now 0. You know,
Yep.
it's like it's over. I don't have to worry
It's a
about
big
this shit
deal.
anymore. I don't have to think about this. I don't have to talk about this. Don't have to be upset about this. It's just it's over. You know, it's perfect. And I'm glad it happened while we were live, so you can feel that catharsis. Because the last time, if you recall, one of the last times we were live was when we found out about the Jakob Poeltl trade.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
What the fuck
Oh
are they doing?
no. Yeah.
Uh,
So, and
it's
that was
funny
San
they.
Antonio. The synchronicities.
Yep.
So every time you're on, okay. So here's some synchronicities of Vince and I. Okay, the last time Vince and I went to a game, a triple double happened, but it was the worst type of triple double. We watched Victor Wembanyama put a triple double from the proximity of borderline courtside, and we watched him smack the shit out of the Toronto Raptors to the tune of 10 blocks
Sun the Raptors.
as a fucking rookie. And Scottie Barnes got all that bullshit for walking off the court 3 seconds early, blah, 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 blah. Although players do that shit all the time. Tonight, we went to another game. We saw another triple double. This time,
That's
Jonathan
right.
Mogbo.
That's right.
So a good triple double. The
Yeah.
last time, one of the last times we were live, we got some really terrible news from San Antonio. They had traded us Jakob Poeltl. Today, we're on a live and we get really great news from San Antonio. It's making me think that life is moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
And
It's
that all of these little lines that I'm drawing in the sand of synchronicities and random, coincidences are moving in a good direction for the Raptors.
yeah. There's a cyclical nature to it for sure.
Yeah. I apologize, Baxter. You called in. I apologize. I was not able to let you on, but if you want to call back, I can definitely add you to the call or whatever. I don't know, man. I think if we end up falling backwards, which again, our most likely outcome is 8th. So if we do end up falling backwards, I am perfectly comfortable trading this pick as well. My question to you is, what if we do end up at like 2nd? What is the type of player that you would trade that player for? Sorry, that pick for? Because again, like I'm not saying you're a championship contender with Scottie and Ingram, but maybe if you swap an Emmanuel Quickly plus number 2, number 3 for an actual real star, maybe you're right there. Maybe you are the
I
second best team in the East or third best team in the East.
I don't trade two for anyone in the league that would
Whoa.
be even that would be available. Like, would I do it for Tatum? Sure, but that's not going to happen. Would I do it for Jokic? Sure.
I'll give you a list of players that could be available. You tell me if you would do it. Kevin Durant,
No.
Devin Booker,
Oof. Probably still no.
Jalen Brown,
No.
Okay.
I think I think Harper has higher upside than all three of those
LaMelo
guys.
Ball.
No,
No. Okay. John
no,
Morant.
no.
Tyler Hero.
Oh, hell no.
Bam Adebayo.
I'd have to think about it, but I'm leaning no. But he's the best name that you've named so far, I think.
I definitely think Devin Booker's better than Bam Adebayo, but okay. What
No,
about?
but not for we just have twos. So many twos. Like on our team.
Yeah, but you'd be presumably trading one of those twos with this pick. You'd be trading Emmanuel quickly
It just makes
or RJ Barrett.
gr- it makes Grady, Jacoby so redundant.
Mm,
Like those are like that's the thing is that if you're locked into that two spot, you can't really like maybe in super small lineups you can kind of get away with cheating here and there, but there's not a lot of lineups where you're playing like Booker and Jacoby or Booker and Grady together. I like Dylan Harper's game. I would do it for three maybe. If it was just like Ace Bailey, then sure. I just and again, I haven't done too much research, but one of the guys I have looked at is Dylan Harper. That guy just looks like he's can't miss. Right? I know a lot of people like to compare him to Jalen Brunson.
hmm
Um, but like I think he could be better than Jalen Brunson just because of his body. Like I think that guy's like a fucking 6'5" Mack truck.
I'm thinking of players that are, north, like big salaries that teams might want to get off of if they have a really bad playoff run right now. Obviously, there are the untradeable contracts, either because they mean too much to their team. Either, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic would literally have to ask out. He's not
Right,
just getting traded. He's going to have to ask
right,
out. Bradley Beal
right.
is untradeable. No one's trading for him. Kevin Durant, you've already said no to. Joel Embiid, medically retired. Okay. So Jalen Brown, you said no to. Karl Anthony Towns, he's had a friggin' all NBA season, but I agree.
He's I love Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's a great
Yeah.
player. I just wouldn't make that trade.
Obviously, Kawhi, Jimmy, Damian Lillard will say no. Would you trade number 2 for Giannis? It would take a lot more than number 2, just so we're clear. Like, it
Yeah,
would take future picks plus number 2, plus RJ, plus Emmanuel Quickly, plus Grady. It would take a lion's share.
right.
But would you do it?
No, I wouldn't even do that anyway. Even if it was offered to us, I still wouldn't do it just because of a fit thing. Um, a like a future thing. Like I
Sure.
would want to more so than like would I love to see Giannis on the team? Sure, right? But
Mhm.
I would love to see that group grow together, that young group grow together, including Dylan Harper. I'm almost hoping for pick 2 over pick 1 because I'm so curious to see Dylan Harper on an NBA court. Obviously, I would still take Cooper Flag over Dylan Harper, but man, like just in terms of fit, I feel like Harper on the team would just like fit like a glove.
S. Antonio saying, would you trade it for OG straight up? Hell no.
No,
No. God, no.
gee, I
Okay.
love me some OG, but come on.
I mean, if we look at like the most Domantas Sabonis, no.
And I love Domantas Sabonis. I think he's a great player.
What
I
about
like
Laurie
him a
Mark?
lot.
What about Laurie Markkinen?
Uh, that's a
Now
t- this,
this is a deal that like I think the Raptors could, probably shouldn't, but could explore. So if you were to take Laurie Markkinen, let's just say, I'm not saying for a top 3 pick, no way, but let's
right.
just say you do end up at like 7 or something. That 7, you will get trade offers for it by teams that are looking to be bad next year, looking to get off contracts, whatever.
Hmm.
I think 7 is a perfectly fine centerpiece for a trade for some very serviceable role players. So here's a list of players that I think could be available for what is considerably like the 7th pick. So I think Kristaps Porzingis easily. 100%. I think will be available this offseason. I think the Celtics are going to look to wholesale sell that. I think Lauri
Really?
Markkanen, dude, they just got bought up by like a hedge fund, like conglomerate, whatever. So they're in it to make money. They're not in it to lose money. They're not in it to win championships. They're in it to make money. They can say whatever
I
they want
see.
right now until they show me that Sam Hauser is worth $80 million to them. I'm gonna be very cautiously pessimistic about that
Right.
situation. So players that I think could be available. DeMontis Sabonis. I don't know if you can get him for like just a seventh pick, but something around that. John Morant, 100%. I think, Memphis could be a little bit frustrated with him. Could look at him, could look at his regression. But now that they've elevated Tomas to the point guard spot, he has a tendency to really, really use pick and rolls. John Morant could be a much better decision maker, but a swap from Ja to Emmanuel quickly for the Raptors is a huge talent upgrade. You have one of the best point guards in the East now, huge athletic potential, but a lot of question marks from a stability perspective.
Well,
Zion,
also a
obviously,
three like IQ is just leaps and bounds better 3-point shooter than Ja. So you're kind
that
of
is a fact.
trading in one deficiency for another.
Speaking of 3-point shooting, another player who could be available for that seventh pick would be Desmond Bane. So that, the Darko connection, he's my favorite player I've ever coached. Desmond Bain saying he's my favorite coach, la 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 la. So you have that. So, but, there's a lot of Darko connections throughout the league. Devin Booker is one of them. Desmond Bain is one of them. Nikola Jokic is one of them. There's a lot of players who either know him, admire him from a distance. It's worth noting that who else? Uh
Triple J, I would do him for 7. I don't know if that's at
they
all.
would never do that. He's their best player right now. And,
Would you do
they
Triple
probably
J for 3 and
would
whatever?
they do it? I don't I don't know if they would do it. Would I
Like
do it?
assuming a teardown. Assuming a teardown.
Honestly,
So
I don't know.
assuming they
I
want
don't
to
I
get
don't
rid
know.
of Ja.
Okay, well, first of all, Jaren Jackson Jr. has one more year left on his deal. So that's worth noting that his deal moves from 25 million this year to 23 million next year. After that, he's an
Goes
unrestricted
down.
free agent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Fucking good
sliding deal.
contract.
I mean, it's a bit of a catch-22 contract because your extension it's the same problem that we had with OG. So he's a max player on his next deal.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. I think he won DPOY, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, yeah.
So like he's gonna be eligible for like a super max, and that's $61 million. So that's 61 million reasons why the Memphis Grizzlies would happily move off of him for a
Right.
rookie scale contract. But it's also a really, really dangerous slippery slope for the Raptors because you already have BI and Scottie, and you're locking yourself into BI, Scottie, Jaren Jackson Jr. That's
Right.
basically 3 players who are 6'9", none of whom like it's a really weird fit. Like he's a great player, don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic defender. Pairing him with Scottie is great. I don't know about 60 million though. 60 million is not like that's not okay for Jaren Jackson.
It's a tough sell. NBA
Yeah.
contracts are gonna go through a bit of a reckoning because they're definitely I feel like there will be more more tug of war battles between guys that fall into the 15 to 25 best player range that
Mhm.
that teams know, like, listen, if we give you 60 million a year, we're kind of
Yeah.
cooked, right? So
Right.
I'm curious to see where those go. Like the top guys in the league, the Currys, the Durants, no brainers. You pay them you pay them the max all day, every day, right? But
Right.
for those guys that fall within that like 18 to like 28, 30 range, the Siakams of the world, they're like you can't just be doling out max contracts to those guys, right? Once they start hitting fucking 60 million, like I don't know what the salary cap is going up to. Um, but like
Right.
they can't be giving $60 million a year to these guys and hope to compete. It's gonna be interesting to see.
I'll give you a name that I don't think is available, but I would look to trade for the third pick, Franz Wagner.
Oh, I love Franz, dude.
Yeah,
It
I
was
I would trade 3 for Franz.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah.
He's really good. And
Yeah, I
he's the
don't
guy,
think
like,
Orlando
you
would
don't
do it,
think
but
he's the you don't think of him as, like, the paint breaker, but he fucking is. Like, he just
Mhm.
does. He just gets to the rim. I don't know how the fuck he does it, but he does it.
Yeah.
Like,
Another player that I would happily trade number 3 for is Amen Thompson. I know it just compounds the spacing issues, but his athleticism is, like, next level, and I would look at it.
I would
A
too.
player that I would look to move now this is hypothetical. If the Raptors fall to 8 and the player they wanted really badly is off the board at 6, 7, whatever, I would consider, and this is a completely different type of trade, I would consider Nikola Topic from
For what?
for like 8. If we fall to 8 and the player we want isn't there, I would look at
Mm,
Nikola Topic for the OKC Thunder. Now, he didn't play a single game this year. He was injured. That's why he fell in the draft. I've watched so much tape of this guy. I have a feeling a year under their development staff that he's already had probably did him wonders. A year observing winning culture coming from OKC. We saw like how Chet hit the ground running in his first year after that year off. I have a feeling like he could be really good too. And he's like that big physical rim pressure guard, gets his foot in the paint. He has a Serbian head coach here, so no language barriers. It could be really great for the Raptors. And I mean, I don't know what that does to Emmanuel Quickly and Jamal Shed, but I think he's just something different. And you know, I think he has some shooting upside too. So that could be interesting as well. Would you do it for Shaden Sharp though? Seen a lot of talent from Shaden Sharp. So again, like you start exploring the second draft guys, and I've been noticing this trend with the Raptors. They keep going for these second draft guys, right?
right.
So if your goal is to win, bringing in a 19-year-old may not help you as much as bringing in a guy who already has 3 years under his belt. So players in that range include the following: Bilal Koulibaly,
Right.
going into his 3rd year with Washington, are they, super sold on him? Ben Mathurin, I'm not a huge fan. Some people are. I don't know. I don't know where I sit on that hill. Okay, Jaden Ivey, tough injury. I don't know if I would touch it, but sure. Jarris Walker. That's another guy. Dyson Daniels is probably not available after, the season that he's just had.
Right.
I'm
It's a tough
thinking
sell. I think for any of those guys that you would
Jason
consider, like, the
Wallace, Derek
yeah,
Lively. These are
so
guys like, again, second draft guys, right?
guys like that, I would consider if there was another first round pick involved and they had their eyes set, like, let's say that they really liked your boy Hugo Gonzalez or, um, Nolan Traore, something like that slips,
Right.
right? And they can get their hands on 2 of those guys, I
Mhm.
think then I would do it, but maybe not, like, listen, I was high on Shaden Sharp. I think he still has the potential to be good.
Yeah.
But at this point, like, a one-for-one swap, 7 for him, that's a little risky, right? Especially in this draft class. That said, I was saying that about I would have killed for Shaden Sharp a few
But
years back when
what's interesting is that this rookie, if they come in and they're really good, like right away, let's just say not even right away, but let's just say they're good within a year. Like it kind of counterbalances any perception that you're overpaying Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel Quickly,
totally,
right? So it doesn't completely take away those contracts, but it sort of offsets the value of those contracts because you would have
right,
Jacoby, Jonathan Mobo, this rookie, Jamal Shed, Grady Dick, all kind of under earning whatever they're worth. And I don't know what a extension for Ochai looks like this offseason. No idea. No idea what that looks like. But whatever it looks you know, like that could be something too to think
yeah.
about.
Yeah, I like Ochai, man. I hope we get to keep him. Like, it's gonna be a numbers game for sure. Um,
Mhm.
what like what kind of contract is a comparable contract? Like, what did the Boston give like Peyton Pritchard or like um
Peyton Pritchard is a much better player than Ochai Agbaji. Let's not get that twisted. And he's been a
No,
better
no, oh,
player
no,
than
no,
him at
no.
any
I
stretch and every stretch of the imagination. But
no, I
Peyton
just mean
got
he's underpaid for sure. I just mean that sort of type of contract that's for a bench player.
I mean, you're talking about the sixth man of the year.
Yeah,
Or
but they're
probably
not paying him like they're not paying
presumably.
him like a yeah, they're not
Well,
paying him like a 6 man a year.
dude,
He's there. They've got a steal of
can
a
we
contract for that
be
guy.
honest about something? Peyton Pritchard's been better than Emmanuel Quickly this year. Okay, like I don't care what
Not even
anybody
close.
tells me. Like he's better. So they're
You know,
paying.
you know who else has been significantly better? Kobe White, like way better.
Oh, Kobe White is on the discount of a friggin' lifetime. Like I don't know
Yeah,
how they got him on that deal.
that contract is fucking amazing.
Would you trade
But
number
it is
7?
going up.
Would you trade number 7 for Kobe White?
No, because of the twos. Too many twos.
Hmm.
Right? I'd rather take a shot at Derek Queen with
I think
7
instead
or
of Peyton Pritchard, I think TJ McConnell might be a better barometer, or Luke Kennard, someone like that. Caleb Martin. I think these are
right,
more comparable. So those players earn in the neighborhood of 9.3 to 9. So
right,
if you extend Ochai at 9 per year, I don't think that's insulting. Like he's playing off the bench. He has significant holes in his game. He hasn't exactly worked out. He was holding on to his NBA career just a few years ago.
right,
There's cap, apron restrictions. You can just simply say, like, we're happy to let you test the market and see what comes out of it. Worst case scenario, someone's going to give him 7-8 million. You just match it. I don't see
right,
any team just being like, you know what I want to do with my full mid-level exception? I want to take a chance
right,
on Ochai Agbaji's shooting.
right.
I want to see if this translates.
No, I
Like,
think they there's a world where they get him on a good deal.
there's also a world in which they extend him to 60 million for 4 years, and we're all sitting here saying, what the fuck is this team
No,
doing?
no, they can't. They won't do that. They won't do that.
How much
They know
would you
they
be
have.
willing to how much would you be willing to bet they won't do that? Like, how confident are you? I want to get a feeling of like your confidence meter that the Raptors are
It.
not about to ink Ochai Agbaji to a 3-year plus player option, 15 million annual average.
I'm 100% confident because of the contracts they have on their team already. If this was
That
another
is true.
year and they
That's true.
didn't
That is
have
true.
Bi, they didn't have Scottie, and
Okay.
then maybe I'd be afraid. But also like usually in those cases like Kelly, like when they signed Olynyk, right?
Mhm.
Everyone was like, yeah, okay, you can squint and it's an okay deal, but really it's just
Well,
trade fodder in the end.
okay. One thing to note, you actually he wasn't trade fodder. He wasn't trade fodder. I mean, by the strictest definition of, like, he wasn't an asset. You traded a
Right,
liability. So to be
right.
clear, his defensive regression was so bad this year, his back stiffening up or whatever.
Yeah,
He was thrown in to make salaries match. However, it's worth noting he was probably worth significantly less to the Pelicans than Chris Boucher would have been, because he's
right.
an expiring.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
they probably demanded that first round pick in part. Like, I know you can't part out picks, but let's just say half that pick was, hey, you want Brandon Ingram early? We want half a pick. The other half pick, by the way, was to eat Kelly Olynyk's second year,
Sure. Mhm. Sure.
right?
No, I get
Because
that.
yeah, so I mean, they weren't gonna keep Brandon Ingram. We all knew that. Brandon Ingram knew that. Brandon Ingram is literally leaked that out through his people to
Yeah,
various people that I'm not coming back. They don't want me back. I want out. So he's testing free agency. He didn't have a lot of landing spots in free agency. The Raptors decide pre-agency is the best option because they won't have the ability to clear up cap space with
sure,
RJ, IQ, whatever.
sure,
So the best way to get Brandon Ingram to Toronto was to make that trade. But what I'm saying is that first round pick, half of it was because Kelly Olynyk was such on that stupid contract, which is to say that part of the reason for trading Kelly Olynyk was to get him off our fucking books,
sure. Mhm.
which is crazy to me because we traded a first round pick to bring him in our books. And it's the
Right.
same thing we did with Kem Birch. It's the same thing with Kem Birch. That second, I'm positive those 2 second-round picks that we sent to San Antonio as part of that Jakob Poeltl trade was to eat the contracts of Ken Burge. Personally, I'm sick of being a team that has to that moves off of picks to get players in the door,
Right.
overpays those players, and then moves off of picks to unload those players. It's kind of frustrating. That's why that
I
Davion
mean,
Mitchell, Jalen McDaniels trade was so amazing because you needed one grossly incompetent front office like the Sacramento Kings to do you a solid.
right.
So jumpy was Vivek Ranadive at the prospect of bringing in generational scorer DeMar DeRozan that he was like, picks? You want picks? Take all the picks. Jalen
Right.
McDaniels? We don't care. Send anyone. We just want an expiring that we can waive.
Yeah,
The
they were trying
Raptors
to convince themselves
fleeced
that
those. The Raptors fleeced those morons, man. The fact that Jamal Shed is actually eligible for second team all defense. And by the way, Devin Carter ain't no spring chicken. Devin Carter was an upperclassman as well, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong in saying that? He was an older guy.
yeah, he was an older rookie for sure. Still good though.
So,
He's a good player.
okay. So this is going to be remarkably telling. Hang on. Devin Carter. Hang on. So Devin Carter versus, I mean, I'm just curious. I'm personally curious to see how this actually stacks up. So I am curious to see what Devin Carter's stats look like next to the player they actually traded away, which is Jamal Shed. And of course, Devin was the 13th overall pick. But hey, you know what Jamal Shed and Devin Carter have in common? Apart from the
What?
fact that they're both 22 at the start of this season, the one thing they have in common is that they both play for teams that are under 500 right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of advanced stats, okay, Devin's a little bit better, but barely, barely, barely. Jamal is shooting better from three. You could not have predicted that for the life of you when you
That is
came into the
crazy.
season. Free throw percentage, Jamal's better. Rebounds, okay, we're not fucking with Devin Carter on rebounds. Like his ability to attack the rim and the rebounds is insane. Per 100 possessions,
Right.
he's at 10 rebounds as a guard. That's insane. 2.6 steals is also nuts. So he's basically making up the value and just hustle. But
They
37%
call
from the field, they
there's
shoot
a
an
world where
identical. They're shooting an identical percentage from two, by the way.
right. But there is a world where that guy he ends up being Josh Hart with a 3-pointer, which is a fucking pretty lethal player.
Yeah, but
But
he's
it'll
also like
take him.
6'2", isn't he? Yeah, he's 6'2". Josh Hart's six
Is he?
five. Yeah, man.
Oh, I thought he was the same, like around the same height. Oh, I got that wrong.
No, I mean, again, per 36 minutes, just the rebounding. It's the rebounding. But I mean, whatever he makes up on rebounding, Jamal Shed makes up as a playmaker,
Right.
and Jamal's just been way more efficient from three levels. Again, like if I'm pitching you a 6'2" guard that rebounds like a small ball center, you know who his projection actually is probably closer to? Gary Payton II.
Right.
So that's really the archetype you're looking at. So what would you rather have? A poor man's Gary Payton II or a poor man's Kyle Lowry? Like I'll take poor man's Kyle Lowry any day of the week.
Sure, sure.
So I mean, the very fact that we could have a discussion about these two players and the Kings could have literally had them both.
Yeah, it is pretty
Um,
funny.
and then
Um,
and bonus cherry on top, the contract that we swallowed for all those picks ended up walking in Sasha Vezenkov and doing us a favor. He just wouldn't do that
right.
favor for the Kings. So we need to actually thank Sasha Vezenkov for this season. I feel like he's balling out. Like he's on the same team as my friend.
It's funny.
So yeah.
It's funny. I'd say for any time they've made a poor decision with a contract, given a few extra bucks to keep somebody in the door than they should have been paid.
Mhm.
I think we've made up for it by, I say we, like I'm in the front office. I think the Raptors made up for it at some point with making some kind of savvy trade to sort of to balance a little bit. You know, just the fact that they got that, like it would be it would be a lot tougher sell if we didn't have a second round pick this year, which we shouldn't have if it weren't for the Kings, because I assume because of the Jakob deal.
No,
Actually,
it's because
no.
of
Why?
dude. We have this because of the pick Jalen McDaniels. It's the
No, no, no.
same
But
trade.
why would we have?
Why would
We
we not
didn't
have
have
our own
our.
pick?
Yeah, we don't have our own.
Yeah,
Was
we
that
don't
because
have
of
our
the
own pick
Yak?
because of Jakob Poeltl. Everything good that's happening right now is because of Jalen McDaniels. Everything bad that's happening is because of Jakob Poeltl.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once
Where's
again,
Where's San
I need
Antonio here? Do
therapy.
they? Yeah. Is it 38? No. No.
Yeah,
Hold on. Who has it? Who the fuck
37.
has it? Somebody has our pick, our second round pick this year, and I just. Oh,
You sound like an angry old man who's just about to knock on every team's door. He's like, "You have
that's
our
right.
pick."
No, it's Detroit. Detroit has our pick for some reason. Who the
Why is this
hell did they trade? It must have been San Antonio. Did they make a trade?
probably
Yes. No. Who the shit did they trade? I don't
right
know.
now on NBA Draft Room? It says the Pistons have 35th, which would presumably be our pick. But I think they just haven't updated it.
Maybe. Either
Yeah,
way, I think we're sitting in a good spot. Man, I'm really curious about your boy Colin Murray Boyles. I saw some film on him.
dude,
He that dude.
our pick belongs to our pick belongs to Detroit. You are right. 37th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't remember how they got that. How they got it. It must have been routed to them through several other trades potentially.
Yeah, I can tell you how they got it. Hang on. It is Sorry, you were saying?
Um, yeah, I think they're in a good spot.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, your guy Colin Murray Boyles, like that's the thing. Like I would almost let's say they drop down to eighth and Malawach is off the board. Like Colin Murray Boyles like he looks fucking legit, and I can't tell the difference between guys who dominate in college and whether or not they're going to be good in the NBA, right? But that guy looks like he fucking dominated in college, and like
CMB?
I would be, yeah, and like would that be too much of a reach for them to take him at eight? You know, Chase
I
Richardson
think
looks good, but he's a two. Yeah,
I think the Colin Murray Boyles thing comes down to fit. He's probably a small ball four. And ironically, even though we were talking about Derek Queen a lot, I also think he's a four. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, maybe he's a five." You gotta If he's a five, you gotta play him with a four that's a five. Like,
right,
I don't know what to tell you. Like, you need shot blocking next to that guy. Brooklyn Nets are in perfect position. They got Day'Ron Sharp. They've got Nick Claxton. They've got a lot of shot blocking from the wings. They've got a good defender in Cam Johnson, which I'm presuming they could possibly keep him. So it's
hmm
like I look at Brooklyn and I'm like, that's a perfect situation for Derek Queen. And ironically, it's also a really good situation for Colin Murray Boyles.
right,
But the perfect situation for Colin Murray Boyles is probably Utah if they fall back, but they're not going to fall back far enough to have to take him. But like
right,
next to a center who can shoot or a
right.
power forward who can shoot, like he needs space, man. He's like, it's funny. There's like a couple of Scotty adjacent prospects in this draft, Cooper and Colin Murray Boyles. Like they're both
Yeah,
a little Scotty adjacent, right? But
right,
Colin Murray Boyles is more like Jonathan Mogbo meets Scotty Barnes
right,
with less vertical than either one. So he's more like a ground bound version of those two guys. He's a solid athlete. He's not twitchy like Jonathan Mogbo, right? Like if you notice like how quickly Jonathan Mogbo gets off the ground, the most impressive thing about him is how he gets off the ground after he falls back down. So
right.
like once he comes down to the ground, that second jump is better than probably any player on this team.
How's his J? Does he got a Does he got a
Colin
jumper?
Murray Boyles, not really. Not
Shit.
really a good shooter. Like evolving, taking a few more threes this year. I've watched about 5 games of his. I probably need to dig more into his film. His team wasn't very good. It's not his fault though, at all. Like there's no way in hell that you could even name his second best teammate. And it's like that's where you look at success at the college level, and you're just like, okay. Also, to answer your question, how did Detroit get our pick? It is via a 3-team deal at the deadline in which Quentin Grimes They traded Quentin Grimes. So I guess Detroit
Ah,
traded Quentin
to
Grimes to
Dallas.
Dallas. So it wasn't at the deadline. It was at I think it was last year. It says Dallas Detroit Grimes trade. So Dallas had our pick.
How the fuck did Dallas have our pick? God damn
Huh?
it! It's like six degrees of separation
Yeah,
because
picks
we
move
didn't
around
make it.
so much.
Yeah, second rounders, they move around a lot. It must have it had to have started with with San Antonio. So San Antonio and Dallas must have made a trade, or there was some trade. Yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm looking at this board, and no one really jumps out as being a perfect fit for the Raptors. Like, ideally you want ideally you want a 3 and D wing. But nobody
A
Trey
3
Johnson's a
and
great
D
three-point
wing.
shooter.
A 3 and D wing. Jacoby Walter. Already have one. Already got one.
Slightly larger. Slightly larger. I like
Well,
someone to someone who can defend better than
Brady.
RJ. RJ
Okay,
or Grady, yeah.
well, 3 and D wing who's large, so basically a 6'8" version of EJ Edgecombe.
Right.
But that player might be the second player in this draft. Like that
Right.
player would actually push that shit. If VJ Edgecombe was 6'8", he might be
Oh yeah.
consensus number 2. He might be
Right.
consensus number 1. I don't know what to tell you. Like shit. I mean, VJ Edgecombe, if like this might be the time that you go to Russia and get that limb lengthening surgery, come back a year and a half later after it all heals and just measure out at 6'8" and just don't let anyone see you limping around.
It's really funny if you go to if you're on the Tankathon site and you click on each player's name, it gives you a list of stat strengths versus weaknesses.
Yeah.
Cooper Flags got stat strengths. Every single category is a stat strength. Right. Then
Yeah.
you go down one to Ace Bailey and look at the difference. Just on the right side there.
Yeah, I see it.
Like, isn't that insane?
No, for sure. I mean, his analytics are atrocious. Like with Ace Bailey, it is a pure. I mean, and the very fact that you have to use draft age as his greatest
I
motivator,
know. That's silly.
blocks, offensive rebounds, points. So weaknesses: defensive rating, win shares, defensive box plus minus, assist percentage usage, assist to turnover, assist, free throw rate, offensive win shares, free throw percentage, true shooting percentage, offensive rating, fouls, offensive BPM. So basically a whole bunch of made up stats. Hypothetical bullshit made up stats. Okay, what about VJ Edgecombe? I have a feeling he has a lot of pluses. Steals plus, offensive rebounds, defensive boxes minus, offensive boxes minus, assist to turnover ratio, assist percentage usage, blocks, offensive rating, draft age. Again, kind of like a more foul prone, less good 3-point percentage shooting, smaller version of Cooper Flag.
Right.
I just don't know if the pass. Listen, I'm curious about Con Knipple. Look at Con Knipple, dude. Again, look
Oh
at
wow.
fucking Con Knipple, right? Everything's a plus except for defensive rebounding and blocks. And by the way, defensive rebounding and blocks are largely because Cooper Flag and fucking Kaman Malawatch are on his team.
I thought he was a
Swallowing
trash
up those,
defender.
huh?
I thought he was a trash defender.
Yeah, defensive
I
win
is
shares are a little bit tricky, but he's not a trash defender at all. I just don't think he's a
no.
good defender. He's also from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which means that coming to Toronto would be like a dream come true for him.
Sure.
And also
Sure.
pretty close to home. He's already used to the snow. I'm actually warming up to the idea of him at 7 or 8. If our targets are off the board, I'm looking at Con Knipple and I'm like, you know what? Like the thing is, I watched his post game after they lost, right? And I think he definitely contributed to them losing. but he also very much was not like at all one of the 3 people that I would blame the most for their losing.
Right.
Or 4. I don't think he's one of the 4 people I would blame the most for losing. He actually stepped up and made their fucking free throw. Like
Right.
nobody else can make a shot. That technical free throw, he went calmly hit it. After the game, Cooper was distraught, and he had a right to be completely.
Mhm.
Like this is a story that's going to follow him probably for the rest of his life. I have a feeling he's going to be, you know, walking in a grocery store 6'9" when he's like 45, 50 years old, and someone's going to be like, "How about that Duke game? Like, how did it happen?" Like, I have a feeling someone's going to ask him that question. So, point
That
being,
Cougars game?
yeah,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
you
I wouldn't
felt
be
bad
surprised
for
if
him
some
in that
fucking
moment.
Houston Cougars fan is literally following around in the grocery store, being like, "Houston Cougars,"
Yeah.
you know? Okay, so that aside, he was distraught. Like in the post game, Cooper was distraught. He's just like holding his head. He's trying not to cry, and totally excusable. Con Knipple was like cool as a cucumber, man. Eyes dry, totally succinct answers, totally to the point, really level headed. And you have to pinch yourself and remind yourself this kid is like 18, 19 years old because he
Right.
sounded like he was 30, 40 years old.
I mean, he was the leader of the team. Cooper was the leader of the team, so you can see why
100%.
he took that fadeaway. You know, you can see how he would have been that distraught. It does listen. It shows he cares. So that's a good thing. Um, but going into that shot, did you think he was going to make it?
No,
He looked tired. I didn't think he was going to make it. I thought it was going to come up short.
I thought it was going to be short too. It reminded me of Kawhi taking that shot. And when Kawhi discussed that shot, he said, I arced it because I was dead tired
Yeah,
and my shots have been coming up short. And that's something Scottie has to learn too. He has to
yeah,
add more arc to his shot. He shoots a flat ball a little too flat. Like when he's tired, he needs to hold that follow through a little bit better. I
for
saw it
sure.
a little bit a few times tonight where, how he's missing these shots. Like a lot of them are front rim. So yeah, I wasn't surprised to see it hit front rim. I was surprised to see him fade away though. I didn't think the shot was going to go in. It would have been a miracle if it did because I think they
Yeah,
defended it pretty okay. But I
yeah,
think they were expecting him to go all the way to the basket and just like he's a really good finisher around the basket. I just don't understand why he didn't. I'm
right.
also like really pissed, not necessarily pissed because I think they probably would have won a national championship. I just think they can overwhelm Florida with so much size and physicality that Alex Condon wouldn't know what the hell to do with them. I'm just pissed that like I guess I'm annoyed at how they collapsed, but most importantly, I think I'm just annoyed at like trying to think here. I'm annoyed that that's how it ended. Like you want a team to win. You don't just want a team to lose. This would be like
Yeah.
watching this fantastic blow for blow, boxing match and it's coming down to the final round and it's like it's going to be a split decision and one boxer just decides to like punch the ref or something like that. It's
Yeah,
just like why?
flips or something and can't get up for some reason.
Yeah, it's like Michigan State, like Chris Webber calls the timeout. It's like that's
Yeah,
not what all of this was supposed to lead to,
yeah,
bro. Like it did lead to that. I don't know.
and
It's so
that's
much better when it comes down to a final shot like the 84, with Jordan. It's so much better when it comes down to like a competitive, tough game that just you want that. It's
yeah,
maybe less desirable when it comes down to a blowout loss where you're like one team just didn't belong here and somehow got here, and we probably watched the final somewhere else, like UConn versus SC on the women's side. But
right.
when it happens like Duke and Houston, it just feels like wow. Like the best thing about this game is the worst thing about this game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he has comfort in knowing that he's going to be the first overall pick, and like God willing, knock on wood, if he's healthy, he's going to have a hell of a career in the NBA.
I think he'll be great in the NBA. I'm actually pretty positive he'll be great at the NBA. I think
Well,
the
yeah,
idea of trading down, honestly, these guys right here, Colin Murray Boyles, Yegor Demon, Liam McNeely, I'm not so high on at all. Like, I understand what people see in him. He reminds me of like a lot of prospects that I don't like.
It reminds me of
Nolan
Luke Bassett.
Traore. Pardon?
He reminds me of Luke Bassett. I don't know if you remember him.
I do.
Yeah.
Military Man saying, could Yegor Demon be another Luka? Please watch Yegor Demon. Please watch Yegor Demon play.
But
He is
not Luka.
one of the
Not Luka.
better.
Come on.
He's one of the better passers in this draft. Like, people said that Cooper's a great passer. I think Demon might be a better passer. And he's a legit 6'8", 6'8.5". So he's legit huge. Like, he's a really big wing. I would not be surprised if this is a player that the Raptors target at 8 or 9 if they fall back. Yegor Demon, Colin Murray-Boyles. I'm gonna say probably Jeremiah Fears, Con Knipple. That's the range.
Right.
Where the hell do they have? Come on, they have come on going 7. So the way Tankathon has their draft breaking down is we get
Is
Kaman
this?
Malawach.
Yeah, they just have it stock until you do a mock draft. Yeah, do a sim lottery there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. Jeremiah Fears at 8.
Fuck what? So they don't change these picks based on who's picking at all. So it's just Kaman's going 7 regardless of who's picking.
No. They do.
No, they
They
don't.
do. Check it. See?
Oh
Conca
shit!
Nipples
What?
at 7 now. Yeah. See, like they have it. It depends on the team. They've estimated that if a certain team gets a certain spot, so they've got Kaman Malawach at 4 going to
Oh,
Houston.
that's pretty evolved. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this. So for them, the Rockets really like Kaman Malawach, which I completely agree with. Now here, the Brooklyn Nets
They
really
have
like Kaman, but
that I don't really
see
get with
this.
Claxton.
This I don't agree with because I think they would prefer Derek Queen over Kaman, and the Raptors apparently have Jeremiah Fears over Derek Queen and Kasparas Yakuchonis. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
And Yegor Demon, and yeah.
I mean,
And Colin
again,
Murray-Boyles, and
in
yeah.
terms of draft age, like, we have to consider something. Cooper Flag, all the talk around Cooper Flag all year was he should be in high school. He should be in high school. He should be in high school. He's so young, right? It's not like Ace Bailey is that much older than Cooper Flag.
Right.
Like, he's 5 months older. It's not like Kaman is that much older. He's like 4 months older.
Right.
And it's also not like Jeremiah Fears is that much older because Jeremiah Fears is like 3 months older than Cooper Flag.
Right.
So with all 4 of those players, you're picking an 18-year-old. They're going to be 18 at the time of the draft. Jace Richardson is also going to be 18 at the time of the draft. Is there any other
Man,
18-year-olds?
you gotta think that I just feel like the
Noah
best
Singh.
fits, the best fits are Cooper, Harper, and come on, right? Those are the best fits. So you think that, like, are they gonna want an 18-year-old after one of those guys, one of those 3 guys? Just because, like, even VJ Edgecombe is like, yeah, he's probably gonna be better than what you currently have at the 2 guard spot.
Mm-hmm.
But you just put a bunch of resources in. Like, are you now looking for trades for either Jacoby or Grady? Are you trying to shoehorn them into playing with one another? Like, that's fucking said crowded house.
Again, I think we are a 3-for-1 trade away from balancing out this roster, and I'm just like we really need to make one. Like,
it might be that.
You know, playing all these guys so many minutes, getting a chance to see Ochai in a bigger role. I don't want to see Ochai buried on the bench next year. Have a perfectly useful rim protecting guard who can fill in as a corner shooter, and he's got to sit on the bench. I don't want that.
Right.
I don't think he wants that. So at some point, like, you know, all this kumbaya shit is great because, you know, Scottie's agreeing not to play very many minutes. BI's not playing. It's great. You know, it's one of the biggest ways that the Raptors have been able to maintain cohesion in the locker room is, one, you have a really young roster. They don't know better. You don't have anyone who's like gunning for a contract. You don't have a malcontent Fred VanVleet sitting there,
Right.
being super, super upset. But you also are being able to give these players minutes, right? What happens next year when, Ochai Agbaji has like 17 straight DMPCDs? Is he still kumbaya, or is he demanding a
For
trade,
sure.
or
There's
quietly
it's
grumbling?
too many guys syndrome. Nobody's happy when that happens,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
it's one thing when you have too many guys and they're really different guys. Like, for instance,
Mhm.
the deepest team that I can remember in NBA history, I might be wrong, it's one of the deepest for sure. I mean, there's obvious examples of like winning teams that are super deep, like the 86 Celtics or the 96 Bulls, or the Warriors. But there's a team that didn't win a championship that was crazy deep, and that was the 2000-2001 Portland Trailblazers. Do you remember that
Right.
roster?
Was
Here's their starting
Rashid
lineup.
on it? What?
Yes. Here's their starting lineup. They had Damon
Drexler,
Stoudemire at the 1. I think it was
right,
Steve Smith or Derek Anderson at the 2.
right.
They had Scottie Pippen at the 3, Brian Grant at the 4, and
Rashid?
Arvydas Sabonis at the 5. They had Rasheed Wallace off the bench. Granted, he won the starting spot very soon after. They had Detlef Schrempf,
Oh,
like
wow.
a
It's a
still
good team.
okay Detlef Schrempf.
Mhm.
Like, it was probably one of the coolest, deepest teams I've ever seen. And then right at the end of that bench, there was a Jermaine O'Neal, 17 years old, not
Wow.
playing minutes. And you just think about it and you're like, that's a great problem to have, because
Right,
J.O. wasn't ready to play, and again, in a previous iteration, they had this super deep bench where they had like 4 or 5 guards, Danny Ainge, Terry Porter, and they had a freaking future Hall of Famer like Dražen Petrovic sitting at the end of their bench.
crazy.
So, yeah, it's nuts.
Who did they trade for Jermaine O'Neal to
They
Indiana?
drafted him. They drafted him 17th overall. They ended up trading him to Indiana for Dale Davis because they
Dale
didn't have
Davis.
enough
That's who it
depth.
was.
They were like, "Oh,
Got
let's
it.
have more depth." Yeah, this is
Yeah.
their roster: Steve Smith, Arvydas Sabonis, Stacey Augmon, Rod Strickland, Sean
Wow.
Kemp, Detlef
Whoa!
Schrempf, Greg Anthony, Antonio Harvey, who was a pretty
Charles
good player,
Barkley?
Eric Barkley, Will
Oh,
Perdue,
Eric.
Gary Grant, Bonzi Wells, Dale
Bonzi
Davis.
Wells was fucking wicked. Dude, I
Yeah,
loved Bonzi Wells. That guy was a wicked player.
I think the previous year. So 99 2000 was the one they had Jermaine O'Neal. There we go. This one. So their full roster. Let me just look at the starters here. So it was Scottie Pippen, Steve Smith, Damon Stoudemire, Rasheed Wallace, Arvydas Sabonis. Brian Grant started to this initially, then came off the bench. So Brian Grant, Jermaine O'Neal, Detlef Schrempf, Greg Anthony, Bonzi Wells, Stacey Augmon, Gary Grant, Antonio Harvey, Joe Klein. That's the roster. That's a
Bro, that's a
crazy
fucking
roster.
that's a squad.
Dude, Brian Grant was a fucking starter coming off your bench. Detlef Schrempf was like still a very serviceable player at that point coming off your bench. Greg Anthony was one of the best backup point guards in the league coming off your bench. And
Bro, Stacey
okay,
Augmon was a good player. Fuck. Like Bonzi Wells, these are players. These are good players.
this is like early Bonzi Wells. I think he was 20-ish. Yeah, he
God
was
damn.
20.
But these were Shaq and Kobe years, right? So that's it. They can't
Yeah,
beat them.
absolutely. And then like in previous years, like Jermaine O'Neal was like just coming up. But it's like so interesting. Like you look at Jermaine O'Neal's like career arc, and it's like 17, 18, like bam. Like prior to Portland, prior to being traded to Indiana, the most he ever averaged was 4.5 points per game. Where is that like per 100 possessions as a fucking made up stat guy now? You know,
That is
like
insanity. That for the first 4 years of his career, he couldn't crack 12 minutes a game. That's fucking crazy.
he was out of high school. He
That's
wasn't physically
insanity.
developed. The league was really
Right.
physical. He probably
Yeah.
worked really hard. And then he gets to Indiana and he's immediately a starter. He's thrust into that role. But if you look at Dražen Petrovic's entire career, is very similar situation with him, in Portland. You see here, Portland, he's averaging
Wow.
7.5 points per game, 4 points per game, and then he gets to New Jersey. First year, he doesn't start. He's averaging 12, and then boom, he becomes a starter. 20 points per game, 22 points per game, third team All NBA. And he did that at 28. So he's 5 years older when he cracked like all star, all NBA level
That is
than Scottie
crazy.
Barnes is right now. Like to people who think like, oh, it's you're done at 23 if you are who you are. No, man. He was coming
No,
off the bench when he was 25. So, and he was like one of the most legendary scorers ever. So, yeah, I don't know.
God, bestow
Yeah,
upon us Cooper Flag or Dylan Harper, and I swear to God, I will maybe not go to every game next year, but I will go to a hell of a lot more games next year than I went to this year. That's for sure.
does Brandon Ingram not make you want to go to more games next year?
Oh yeah, him alone for sure. Um, well, I'm going to be going to more games next year regardless, because now they're going to have like at least a winning squad that that is still young,
Right,
up and coming, hungry, right?
right.
I think I don't knock on wood. I don't want my bias to come out, but I feel like there's a world where they like leapfrog Orlando next year. You know what I mean?
They
I feel
certainly
like
could.
there's a world where they leapfrog like Indiana. Like I don't think that's impossible,
I
right?
agree. I agree.
Like
Could they leapfrog New York?
mm, a bit tough. Those guys are battle tested.
But they
Maybe
don't have
like
but they don't have a lot of youth coming up. They don't have like
maybe yeah, maybe regular season. Maybe they could regular season they could be in and around that same like a given health obviously. Um,
hmm,
but I think that the top of the East is going to be tough to crack again next year. I think it's going to be
okay.
same teams as this year, pretty much
Given your
except for
you like shot makers way more than I do, as evidenced by your take on Ace Bailey. So here's my question. Brandon Ingram and OG Anunoby are the same age. And as of now, next year, Brandon will be making slightly more money than OG. But let's just say their contracts are very comparable. OG
yeah.
is going to be making around 37. BI is going to be making around 39. So they're very comparable. They're the same age. If offered, would you trade Brandon Ingram for OG Anunoby straight up right now? They
Uh,
both have injury
n-
history. So,
yeah, no, I don't think I would just because I think what OG provides can be replicated in the aggregate more so than what BI provides, which is craft, you know, shot making,
mhm,
um, better. I don't want to say better three. We'll say different brand of 3-point shooter.
right.
Um, yeah, and I just think that like don't get me wrong, I love OG. I think he's the most versatile defender in the league, hands down, and probably should get DPOY every single year if it's like assuming Wembanyama's not in the league anymore. Um,
I don't know if
but
he's
like
that level of defender.
I just mean like he like
He's great,
so
but
many
don't
guys
get me wrong. But
so many guys say oh like he can defend 1 through 5. I think OG is the only guy who can actually defend 1 through 5
I don't
in the
think he
league.
can. I think he can guard 1 through 5 really effectively. I think Scottie has been a better defender this year.
Perimeter though,
Hmm.
than
I mean,
OG
like,
really?
like I think people get too bogged down on point of attack stuff, and they try to look at like how quickly you shuffle your feet, and they get way too distracted by that. Like
Right,
Fred VanVleet is not beating you in a foot race, but he's beating you to the spot. He's communicating. Nikola
right.
Jokic is not blocking shots, but he's somehow very effective defensively because he just
Sure,
reads the game really
sure,
well. I,
sure.
I think this comment right here, Denny Avdia, uh, Herb Jones, Scotty can guard 1 through 5. I think that's pretty fair. Denny is an amazing defender. Now,
He is, but sorry, Avdia and Herb Jones are not defending Jokic, right? Whereas OG can actually credibly step like
nobody can
he
guard
can get
Jokic.
him sorry, okay, qualify it. Nobody can defend Jokic, but somebody can in the same way that larger guards always used to try to back down um Kyle.
Mhm.
and Fred to a degree, and they just
Right.
couldn't because he's a fucking fire hydrant. Well, OG is a 6'8" version of that. So even so, like if you need to put him on a Jokic or an Embiid for a few possessions here and there, you can do that. Herb Jones is too slight for that. So is Avdia. I don't agree that they can credibly guard fives
I think
in
Denny
that same
is
way.
super strong. How many Denny games have you watched this year? Like, he is insanely strong. Like,
Yeah,
he is
I've seen
like
a bit.
like there was I think it was Duncan Robinson who was talking about this, and he said he might be like the most physical driver in the league. Like, the way he bumps you off your spot is insane.
Oh yeah, no,
I'll
he's
tell you a fun
a
fact.
gamer.
Okay. So if I told you there was a player who locked up Steph Curry to the point where he held Steph Curry to one of the worst games he's ever had, right? And that same player guarded Nikola Jokic for most possessions in a fourth quarter, and Jokic had either 2 points or 0 points for that whole quarter, and his game was tight. It wasn't like a blowout.
Right.
Wouldn't you say that player is literally the definition of versatility?
Was that Denny? Did he do
No,
that?
that was Scottie Barnes.
Oh, that was Scotty. Oh, okay.
Yeah, last year,
Yeah. Oh,
Steph
dude,
had
don't.
like Steph had like 7 points. Like, even this year, look at Giannis's game against Scottie. And Giannis, like, I think he had 11 points. Like, you look at Giannis's game log, and it's like 25, 30, 35, 35, 12, 27, 29, 32, 29, and it's just like 12.
Yeah.
Scottie Barnes, you know?
No,
Scotty's
I
done
think
this to
Scotty
so
is.
many
Yeah.
players, man. He's done this to KD, he's done this to LeBron, he's done this to Jokic, he's done this to fucking Steph. If he goes after you, you're not scoring. If he's
No, for
into
sure.
it, like if he's dialed in, if it, and again, I say this like to say that Scotty needs games within a game to keep himself motivated during a losing season. When the game is actually meaningful, like his team is fighting for
Hmm.
playoff wins, you don't have to play game within a game. The game itself is enough.
Right.
But within a losing season, I think one of the things that Darko has to coach him on is playing a game within a game. Now, when he goes up against these legends or players that he admires, like when he goes up against a Jimmy Butler, ironically, his best game in the last month came against the Warriors. Am I shocked?
Right.
No. That's a
No.
legendary championship organization, and several pieces of that championship puzzle are still there. There's
Right.
gravitas. There's like gravity to that game. Like, you circle that game. Steph, legendary, you know? Scotty, when he came to the draft, he said, I believe I can be, if not the best player, then one of the best players in the league. I think I could be the best player in the league. And he talks many times about legacy, legends, going up, testing himself, etc. I think this is just a guy who loves to test himself against the Tatums, the Shays, those guys.
Yeah.
Granted, he did not perform well against Shea when, I watched him.
He sees
That
those
was
guys as
bad.
his peers. That's how you do it. That's how you become great. You compare yourself to the best. I think he's well on his way, and I think next year is going to be the year where everybody starts to see him as the defender that he is,
Hmm.
because he's going to have a squad around him, and it's going to be. I don't want to say like I'm not flying off the handle, being like, yeah, they're going to finish second in the East, but they're going to have a winning team in my estimation.
I
And
think they'll be if Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes are healthy, and you don't have like the kind of cataclysmic injuries that you had early to start the season, like boom, RJ's out,
right,
boom, Scotty's out, boom,
right, quickly's out.
Jokic
Yeah,
takes out his eye or whatever, quickly's
yeah,
out
yeah.
because Darius Garland wants revenge. Okay, three players find the common link: Denny Avdia, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic. What's the link? Do you see a link? An obvious link, other than they're all NBA players over 6'7".
Yes, they're all. Are they all Serbian? No, they're not
Their
all Serbian.
fathers are all Serbian.
Oh, their dads are Serbian. Okay, there you go. Is it,
A lot of
bro? It's
people
not
just
too late. It's not too late.
we can make it happen. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
you're Serbian. It's not too late for you.
Just have a kid because Serbian fathers produce NBA prodigies. Yep,
Is your girlfriend Serbian?
she's Bulgarian.
Okay, close enough.
So we
You're
would be there would be a little bit of Sasha Vazenkov in there, right?
right.
Yeah,
She is tall-ish, if I'm not mistaken. She's pretty tall.
she's about 5'7".
Okay, you know, maybe your kid can get up to 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", maybe.
Her dad's tall. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
My ex-girlfriend, who was Serbian, her cousin was Peja Stojakovic.
Come on.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Hall
yeah,
of Famer.
the thought did occur to me, you know what I mean? Like, the thought did occur to me, I'm like, this is, yeah, there are a lot of people in their family that play basketball, so
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Buddy, I think I'm gonna have to
Peace, man.
call it a
Good luck
night.
with the Yeah, good luck with the move. Appreciate you for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Thanks for having me at the game. It was really fun,
Of course,
and,
man.
you
It's
know
always good times.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
man. And
Yeah,
yeah, we'll do it again soon, and we'll have our off season talks as well.
for sure. Call in anytime. Okay, peace, man.
All right, pal. We'll see
Peace.
you soon.
See ya. Okie doke. We didn't talk a hell of a lot about this game because there isn't, I mean, to be honest, there isn't a lot to talk about. Jonathan Mobo's triple double does give you a glimpse into maybe a brighter future in which maybe he's one of those extremely switchable guys. It's so ironic. We were talking about guys in the league who can guard 1 through 5. And, you know, you talk about Jaren Jackson, not really. You talk about Bam Adebayo, or at least Bam Adebayo talks about Bam Adebayo. I don't know if I would talk about Bam Adebayo as a guy who can guard 1 through 5. A lot of players come up in this conversation. Earlier on, Ben Simmons used to come up, Scottie Barnes, Herb Jones, OG Anunoby, Precious Achua. These are all guys who rank, by the way, extremely well in positional versatility. Jalen Williams, J-Dub from the OKC Thunder. There's one player that you keep forgetting in this mix because we haven't found out enough about him, and I think he might be, in theory, eventually, once he puts on some weight, the most positionally versatile defender in the league, and that's Jonathan Mogbo. I could really see it. I can really see it, man. I've never seen Scottie switch his hips that fast on a guard. I've seen Scottie contest a guard, whatever. But I've never seen him switch his hips with Anthony Edwards and John Morant and Tyrese Maxey. I wouldn't trust him on that matchup. Or De'Aaron Fox. Mobo's a little bit slight of build. Scottie's a lot stronger than Jonathan right now. So obviously Scottie's going to have a much easier time guarding someone like Jokic or Domas or Valanciunas or someone like that. Even if Scottie is like still himself, like close to 250, Jonathan Mobo is like close to 230, man. So if Jonathan Mobo can retain that quick twitch, stuff that Scottie doesn't really have, the quick twitch, like super quick twitch, and he can be 250, if he can bench press and just get really strong and like wiry strong, I could see him being like Bam Adebayo level switchable. I agree. He is 23, but I agree with you. He does have wide shoulders. He has a great work ethic. I see no reason that he should not come back like 10 pounds stronger. How do you feel about Mobo as a small ball 5? I think in spurts, it's great. I think if he's your backup 5, you could get in trouble in certain lineups. I think in certain lineups it could be really detrimental to you. But in most cases, I think it's okay. In most cases. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of things happened today. Went to a game, closed it out. Wasn't thrilled about the Raptors winning that game, but then the unthinkable happened. Portland won a game. And San Antonio won a game, and Portland lost the game. So it's like San Antonio and Utah, the two teams I could have sworn coming up here, and this is why you don't sports bet, by the way, because even the lock is not a lock. Shit happens on a basketball court, right? Anything could happen in a basketball game. You really want to bet your 401k that the Spurs are going to throw this game like they throw in every single game? You really want to throw your 401k on, Miami continuing to slide because they had followed this pattern for like 9 straight games where they tanked the second half of every single game and you didn't understand what was happening other than deliberate tanking. It's so hard to believe that a team that you expect to try to lose would somehow win a game. You're like, how bad is the other team playing? Especially when that other team is Golden State. I do check the lines before games. I will remind you, this is the craziest shit. San Antonio were 17.5-point underdogs going into Golden State, which means the Golden State Warriors lost the game that they were so favored to win. It's surprising that it was even open for betting. It's a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk. One team's trying to lose. It's not very competitive. No De'Aaron Fox. No no Victor Wembanyama. They have every reason to try to lose this game. The other team is competing for playoff seeding. They're coming off this huge blowout win, and it just goes the other way. Sports are very unpredictable that way. So they should develop Mogbo as a guard, small forward. Sure. I think they should develop Jonathan as a complete basketball player. I think the shooting evolution has been real. I think the touch will come more, right? He's shown that he's good hand-eye coordination. I think it's always like a nice ace in the hole to have a wing who can be a big. Like Jason Tatum has had to play center, power forward many times to Boston Celtics. It doesn't mean that he was developed to do that. It's just that by virtue of being a huge human being, he can do that, and he's strong. So Mogbo just needs to get a lot stronger, but it does open up some very interesting lineup possibilities because if you do want a stretch five, and you're waiting on Ulrich and you strike out on Kaman Malawach, if you do notice that there's a particular team that just cannot guard this type of front court, imagine a front court of forget the backcourt, like whatever's the backcourt, Jacoby and IQ, so shooters. Imagine a front court of BI, Scottie, and Mogbo for like a 5-6 minute stretch. Can you just see the speed, the size, the length of that front court? Like Mogbo is 7'2", wingspan, BI is like 7'2", 7'3", Scottie's 7'3", 7'4". So you got yourself covered. Like if OKC can play J-Dub at the 5 and Lou Dort at the 4, why can you not play Jonathan Mogbo and Scottie Barnes at the 4-5? You totally can. And you would blow teams out of the water if you put 3 shooters around them, provided those two themselves can become shooters as well. The Raptors are in great place. They're in great hands. Big win for the Spurs. Huge thank you to Harrison Barnes. What a poetic moment. Thank you to all of you for the super chats. And, Young here said, did you see Kaman ceiling to be higher than Lively's? I think they're very similar. The only thing that leans me more towards Kaman is maybe because he's raw and picked up basketball a lot later than Derek, there might be a little bit more untapped potential. It's also worth noting that at a younger age, he was more productive analytically than Derek Lively was in the exact same system. Well, not the exact same system, but for Duke, they played in the same school. And Lively was worse. He was the worst player, and it was not close. I mean, it's a little bit close, but it's not like splitting hairs. Kaman was better. So he's better despite being younger and less experienced. That makes me think he probably has a higher ceiling. That being said, Lively's a much better passer, and his game is just way more refined. And I think he's a slightly twitchier athlete. But Kaman is bigger. We talked about this. Thank you very much, Noble Venom. Thank you very much, Sparkling. And thank you very much, Recruiter Dude, as always. I recognize all of these names. You guys are awesome. Josh Dimitri said last offseason you posted a video of Scottie's work, and someone said it was very similar to BI. I found that interesting considering what happened now. I do a lot of things. I don't remember that completely, but I think maybe that sounds right. I feel like I would have made the comparison directly to Kevin Durant, but okay. Did you see Gifted Hoops video, Pen? Okay. So talk about this very, very briefly. I did not see the entire video. I saw a bit of it. I left a comment. I saw how it was clipped together. I don't need to address it. I think the right thing to do is to let whoever wants to believe what they want to believe. If people want to believe that that's the truth, if that's how people want to see the sequence of events, they want to believe that this very respectful person was disrespected relentlessly until he eventually tried to defend himself, and at which point he was relentlessly attacked for it. And he's just, the victim of snippy comments and bad attitude and narcissistic behavior, or whatever he wants to call me. Cool. If that's your version of reality, whoever wants to believe that version of reality can believe it. If you want to make a video about me, you want to make a video series about me, that's cool. I'm never going to make a video series about you. I'm not going to make videos about you. I'm not going to give this oxygen. And the reason I'm not going to give it oxygen is because nothing in that video actually bothered me. Nothing. I was waiting for something to bother me before I clicked away. And I was like, none of this is new. I was there. I remember how these interactions took place. Anyone who actually really wants to sleuth through stuff can easily go and find those videos. They are there. Did I behave poorly, say some nasty things, probably swear a little bit more, yell? Yeah, I did. I don't think that's news to anybody who knows me. Yeah, I'm a little bit like hot tempered sometimes. It goes there, you know, but I also believe that, you know, the work that we want to do with Player's Choice is to move away from drama as much as humanly possible. And at least from what I understand from Player's Choice, us consistently talking about the stuff, addressing this stuff only makes Player's Choice worse. And why would I want to, like, if I make a video about a PC content creator, let's say I'm sick and tired of Ox because he made a video about me and I decide I'm going to make a video about him. Like, oh, tit for tat, let's play, right? What I say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's the tweet that started it all. I clipped 49 seconds of me not being my best on playback, and I said, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I've been saying this statement to myself pretty much every single day, 3 times a day. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If I want to get into a back and forth with anybody on PC, you know who ultimately wins in that exchange? Nobody. Nobody. Was it fun for me to watch here as like hundreds of trolls came into our chat and derailed 20 minutes of an entire live? No, I'm pretty sure it drove some actual viewers of this channel who came to talk about the Raptors away from this channel. I don't think it brought anybody good to this channel. I think it only brought, bad to this channel. What about when I talked about Low extensively last year? Did that bring anything good to this channel? Yeah, I was on my chest and I talked about it, and I was, upset that this guy, and maybe it was funny, me clowning him about his pronunciation of Arvidas Sabonis and stuff like that. Did that bring anything good to this channel? Was it productive? Did you learn anything about basketball? No. So if I sit here for 40 minutes and explain to you the truth about what really happened with Gifted, and here's where he's wrong and here's where he's wrong, does that help you learn about basketball? No. Does that make PC look better? Because he is a content creator on PC. He has, he's part of a show on PC. Does that make you more likely to check out PC or less likely? I think the question that he could ask himself is, does someone who watches his video about me, are they more likely to want to check out the panel when I'm on, or less likely? I think always the answer is no, less. Or if someone is more likely on the basis of the video that you created or Ox has created, if someone is more likely, is that the type of person you want checking out PC? If the goal of Player's Choice is to change the perspective, change the direction, be more positive, be more about basketball, less dramatic, less toxic, creating toxicity does not help that. What does help, by the way, is this. Hang on. Let me show you what helps. So yesterday, I want to give a big shout out to Dub. I went on and talked a lot about life, basketball, and everything with my guy Dub. So Dub is an original guy from PC. Hang on one second. I'm gonna pull this video up so y'all can see it. Check it out if you want to check more of me just rambling on and talking about life. This video right here. So, Dub's not very active on his channel, so this didn't get a ton of videos. It only got 600 views, but it's a good and nice to see Daryl found it. So nice of you, Daryl, to say that. Barnes and Scottie saying Dub is chill. Absolutely. So look, we talked about everything. We talked about PC. We did not at any point talk about individual content creators being toxic or specifics or whatever. I was pretty careful to not go there. And that was by design. I don't want to go there. It doesn't bring me peace, doesn't bring PC any peace. It's not helping anybody. So the point here is that this video, in which we talk about life, evolution, Dub walking away from PC, the origins of PC. We talked about Mike Malone getting fired. We talked about a lot of stuff, man. This was a great video. I think this is a great conversation. It's an hour and 47 minutes. Definitely go check it out. Go support his channel. You know, he doesn't post on it very much, but, you know, that's cool. And again, to respond specifically to this whole Gifted thing, Gifted is a content creator that has an issue with me and the way that he's been talked to by me. And it doesn't really matter who's right. I'm not going to convince you if you think he's right. I don't think you really need to hear anything more if you think I'm right. And it doesn't really mean anything if I'm showing my audience why I'm right, because you probably already think I'm right. So all I'm doing by giving this oxygen and even talking about it right now for 10 minutes is I'm driving people that don't like me into another content creator. So the worst of my audience will gravitate and become the loudest of his audience. Weirdly enough, me creating a video about Gifted doesn't help Gifted either, because every person who hates me is not necessarily the people that you want subscribing to your channel. It helps nobody. So point here is nobody wins, and play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Here's a really smart game to play. Don't make the video. Don't go back and forth in the comments for 4 straight days defending yourself to people who have no interest in listening to your defense. Instead, take whatever parts of that you can actually learn from it, and be better in the future. And so when people watching you saying, I wonder if all this stuff that you say is true about this person, let me watch, they may feel differently. They may feel differently. Just as I have been able to change my perspective on certain people, I'm sure those people who have an issue with me can also change their perspective. So we will see how that goes. I do not know if I have any plans of being on the panel this week. I think I'm on either tomorrow or the next day. I don't remember exactly, but we'll see. I have to spend a couple hours doing a little bit of research right now, basketball research. I have to get off the live right now. Do my friend a little favor here. But overall, you know, tough result for the Raptors. San Antonio with the clutch win to save the Raptors season, in my opinion. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't know if the Raptors were going to go out and actually lose to Dallas. I think they wanted to beat Dallas. And now we can root for wins again. We can really root for wins. I am rooting for the Raptors to blow the shit out of the Dallas Mavericks. Fuck that organization right now. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night. And again, I think it's difficult to glean anything about what Cole Swider minutes or Orlando Robinson minutes mean. It's not to say that AJ Lawson didn't have a decent game. He did, right? But against the Charlotte Hornets, this is like discussing NBA players against G League players. What can I possibly get from this? Right? So, yeah, it's tough. Odds Ingram plays. So, allegedly, the Raptors they had their last practice of the season yesterday or the day before, and they wanted to see if Brandon Ingram could play. Apparently, he couldn't play. So, he went to see a specialist. They gave him a shot. I don't want to play broken telephone. You can definitely check out Josh Lewenberg or Blake Murphy's tweets on the subject matter. But yes, the Raptors have locked 7th. That's all I cared about going into today. If you had told me that I could pay $500, if you told me I could pay $400 and guaranteed I can go to sleep tonight knowing that the Raptors lock 7th, I would actually be okay with it. I would be okay paying $400. That's how much I want us to get a high pick. Yeah. Okay. All right. Talk to y'all later. Made a deal with, yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank goodness I wake up to see 2:30 to see the Raptors Spurs won, saved Raptors season. I agree with you, man. I agree with you, brother. All right. Talk to y'all later. Thank you so much for the super chats. Peace.